The Drew Yari Show begins now. It is time for The Drew Yari Show. Drew Yari.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Wednesday, 9:38 p.m. Central Time, and welcome back to the show. Let me introduce you to my guest, a frequent recurring character on this podcast, Mr. Kevin Castle. How you doing, Kev?
What's up? Oh, I'm a character now. I'm not a person. I'm a character.
It's like in sitcoms. You went from being just for a cameo. Now you're a recurring character.
You should introduce me what I am, the hottest free agent in podcasting.
The hottest free agent in podcasting, Mr. Kevin Castle.
Highly sought after, Kev Castle.
Highly sought after.
Somebody's major loss will be somebody's major gain, Kev Castle.
Ooh, that's what is it? That's a shoot, brother.
Of course, man, of course. But I'm just, because everyone has been asking me, is like, why are you in the mainstream? I mean, I've even got big podcasters who wrote to me and goes, what are you doing? I was like, why are you behind a paywall? And I'm like, no, I'm just doing that for the rest of the year. And I'll stay with Patreon as long as it's like copacetic and drama free and, doing my thing. And I'm allowed to do my thing my way. I don't like anybody dictating how I do my shows anymore. That's not happening anymore. Shouldn't have happened in the first place. I'm 52 years old doing this 17 years. I don't need anybody to tell me how to do a podcast. I might not be a producer, but I know how to hang in a verbal sense, and nobody could fuck with my wrestling knowledge. So, I'm fine that way. But so far, it's okay. Everything's going good. I mean, I'm not doing the Monday show anymore, which I miss. I mean, I won't kid you, I miss the show because it was something I did for so many years. But I'm enjoying the prospects of the future. I'm going to be teaming up with Baseball Chickie, who's got 100,000 followers on Twitter. You'd have to put Jason, DT, JD, Mish, me, and my brother into one group to get as many followers as she has. So teaming up with a hot chick is a lateral move. Plus, I'm friends with her in real life. I know her for like 20 years. And she's super knowledgeable. It's going to be a pop culture podcast, nothing to do with wrestling. The only way we'll cover wrestling is if it plays into the year that we're covering for pop culture, that particular show. And it's going to be me and her. It's going to be all about pop culture, 80s and 90s. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're already talking about ideas and shows and how it's going to run. And again, she's a real attractive girl. Guys ogle her every day. So, I mean, she's got a ton of following, as much as like any celebrity. So, it's politically and professionally, it's a great move for me. It'll get me into the mainstream big time, and I'll have the lead on the show, and I'll have the respect that I probably deserve, and the freedom to do what I want, and it's going to be fun. And as you see, I get along well with women as my partners on shows, so I have no problem. Matter of fact, most of my projects are going to be with female co-hosts because I'm going a different way. Again, I'm using like my creative mind of how to do things differently. Won't see another middle-aged guy in a fucking wrestling podcast. We have enough of that. So it's like, no offense to anybody, but I want to do something different. Again, wrestling is just not my only thing. I mean, I'm in the club business 28 years. There might not be a club business anymore. So the only way I could talk about music and the music culture and what used to be, and even talk about things in the past tense, is to do it on a podcast. So I'm, probably gonna be doing 2 or 3 new things in the new year that have nothing to do with my old stuff. Only my name remains the same because I'm always Kevin Castle. As far as the Patreon goes, I'll do that as long as we can. I'm committed to it. I'll do it for another 10 years if we can all go along to get along. And I could do Castle Chronicles the way I want to do it. without interference and without, nonsense coming my way, which, like I said, I just do my own thing. I don't bother anybody. You guys see me. Anybody who's listening to this knows me and knows, like, even on Twitter, I don't take shots at anybody. I'm just like doing my own thing, and just like coming on these shows and being friends with everybody. I'm just looking to have fun in a not so fun time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And again, I appreciate you for coming on here and just shooting the shit.
Man.
So, kind of going back to what you were just saying, because I remember you, and I won't reveal too much because this was a private phone call we had where you had talked about in the new year kind of doing your own thing. So whenever you do that, are you still gonna keep Castle Chronicles, or are you just gonna
yeah? I mean, no, my plan is to listen, everybody's doing what they want and doing their own thing. There's no one's under some slave contract that people can do whatever they want. Anthony's been doing what he wants without consulting me in any capacity whatsoever. And I have no problem with that because we don't have contracts and we're not under any obligation. We're free to do whatever we want. So like my brother was free to go and do his own thing, Draper. It's like, listen, I want to do other things. But I'll still continue to do the Patreon. Like I said, I had a commitment from that side of the fence and my side of the fence. We both agreed to continue the Patreon the way it's going with Castle Chronicles and KNT Chronicles. And I'm committed to doing that. And as long as I can do my show the way I want to do my show, it's almost insulting to tell someone who's a veteran like how to do my show. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, production wise, I need some, I need critique advice absolutely to do a show and on the show. There's not to be obnoxious, but there's nobody better than me. So I don't think any of these guys are better than me. And, that's going to be, again, I had to find my confidence again and get my confidence back. And, I had to take a good look at myself and say, listen, COVID, I think, kind of fucked up my mindset about, I need to hang on to this job or that job, or I need this income and I want to rock the boat. But then I think when you do that and you kind of like sell yourself out and sell yourself short and allow yourself to be kind of walked on, which is not in my personality at all. Zero. I mean, in my real life, this does not go on. The podcasting world, as my brother John said, it's a fucked up place. Had fucked up rules and hypocrisy like you wouldn't believe. And I think my brother sometimes experiences that too. And he's like, what kind of world is this? I'm like, I told you, it's a bizarro world. It's not like real life. But it's the fun, but what podcasting is first of all, you make everything what it is. Just like your friendships. You can have a friendship and never have an argument with somebody because you are cool and easy with your friends and your communication is good and you don't bullshit each other and you're honest with each other and stuff and you don't backbite each other, and you can go 30, 40 years and have a friend. You're like, no, I never had an argument with this guy. I have a friend, Rob, 40 years, never had one problem. Then I have certain other people, like every week there's like some nonsense and it's nothing I did. I take a look at the situation. I'm like, what did I do now? Oh, I exist. That's my problem. I just exist. It's like I didn't say anything. I scroll back. Did I write something? Or did I say something on Twitter? Didn't do anything. It's just like I think some people just are needy in a sense of have to get attention for themselves or have to get and I deal with this in the club business too with bands. Bands jealous of other bands. We should go on this, and how come we're opening, and how come. It's just be a team. If you're a team, you don't have a problem. You'll get your moment in the sun. Everybody deserves their moment in the spotlight. You do. Everybody listening does. Everybody here has a job and they'd like to be told by their boss or something, hey, good job today. When you never hear that and all you get is criticism, it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And again, you have other friends telling you, hey, dude, you're better than that. And again, you need to, some people can take your confidence away and some people boost your confidence. And you have to get with people who bring you who are a lift, not a load, as we say in the business.
I get it. It's you react better when you actually have a support system. Like when you
absolutely, yeah,
and not just family, of course. Friends, and your friends are your family. I mean, depending on which friend, but you need that support system to make you thrive. Because I thrive off of. And this is going to sound corny, I thrive off of support. I thrive off of hard work. I thrive off of people who genuinely want to see me succeed at anything, whether it be podcasting, whether it be, my job or just anything. And that really goes a long mile. It goes a long mile just to have someone say, hey, good show. It's like, I'll get PM messages, or I'll get like Twitter posts from people saying, hey, I liked your show last night. I liked when you talked about A, B, C, and D. Especially when they get more specific and they say, I really enjoyed when you talked about, blah, 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 or I really laughed when you got mad at AEW, which is, few and far between, which is, not that few and far between, but it really kind of makes me just, smile a little bit that people like the show just for any reason. And it's like, this is something I borrowed from Julian Cannon from Wrestling Court, where he was actually on the show when you were here.
Another great guy, easygoing. Him and Rob have a good thing together. I can't imagine there's any nonsense with them. I almost admire how they get along, and I don't see any cryptic tweets from each other. Again, I admire some of those relationships, and if anything, we should have been the template to show people how to treat each other and be partners and instead we were a very bad example of that. My bad as much as my former partner.
Yeah, and you're just not gonna lie. It's kind of unfortunate that that's just how it is, and you admitted, it's not just one person's fault. It's it's both ways.
Yeah, it takes two to tango. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to what I was saying about Julian, when he was on the show with you, he had said, and I'm just paraphrasing, it doesn't matter if I have 3 listeners or 30 listeners or 300 listeners. What matters is that I have people listening to the show, and that's something I take with me. And I remember I had B. Show Brian on the show, and I told him that, and he another good guy. Yeah. Good dude, good natured guy. And I remember when I was on his show, he actually brought that up to me, and he's like, "Dude, that's something that like still resonates with me." And I just told him, "Well, it's actually not me; it was Julian that said it, but it's reason why I said it because that resonates with me because, I said before you got here, I'm being realistic. I'm not trying to, I'm not thinking I'm going to make, Joe Rogan or Kevin Smith money. I'm doing this because I love it. I love being able to just come on here and just, talk all this nonsense and
yeah, of course,
talk wrestling with people and, interact with the guys on here. And then, get that feedback from people saying, hey, good show.
Yeah.
So
it's very therapeutic. I mean, starting out the same thing. And listen, like everybody starts out the same way. And there's people who check numbers and they won't go on certain shows because, what's it going to do for me? What my philosophy, and I've told you this before in the past, I am totally in disagreement with my fellow podcasters, was let's say on my level. Well, some of them think they're above me, but they're really not. But or my level or higher, where they'll be like, I'm going to go on that show, or and I'm talking about a bunch of people. I'm not talking about one specific person. I'm talking about a bunch of people. Because they'll be like, I noticed you go on a lot of shows. I'm not going to say who it was, and it was not Anthony. It was somebody else who said to me about a week ago, is like, when you say you'll go on show, like you'll go on any show? I'm like, yeah. It goes, but do you think that's good move for you? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know, like if you, kind of don't, you have to like kind of build yourself up. Like, how does it hurt me by going on and being friendly with startup podcasts or podcasters who aren't as known as me? Everybody starts out somewhere. Oh no, I just kind of, pick and choose. I'm like, nah, for what? You guys are believing your hype and way too much into yourselves. I just shake my head. I'm like, guys, it's a fucking wrestling podcast. We're talking about wrestling and just shooting the shit. Everyone's here thinks they're Joe Rogan and thinks they're a big deal because they're on YouTube. Got 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 hits. So what? I have a female friend of mine who puts her picture online and gets 60,000 hits. So it's like, what are we doing here? I just find that to be so obnoxious. And I'm like, see, this is why you don't get what I do, because I'm a ground up guy. And maybe because I'm in the underground club scene and helped build up bands. And, you've seen some of my clips online, clubs I work at and the little places. And then it got bigger and bigger and you start out. I'm a real like grassroots guy. And I think people think, when I get to another level, I can't associate with the plebeians and the people who are starting out, because it makes me look like I'm going back to the minor leagues. I don't believe in that at all. If anything, I even said the other day that I am done with big major venues and working with big bands and the Ticketmaster thing now. I don't know if you saw. We could talk about that if you want to, which broke by Billboard today, where Ticketmaster is going to basically do some sort of almost Nazism style move, whether you have to have COVID testing and tracking when you buy a ticket to a future event, which is outrageous in my opinion. It's such a violation of privacy. I can't believe that's going to happen. I want nothing to do with major national touring bands anymore. I'm going to do local events and small underground music shows and go back to, if people want to call them the minor leagues, then sign me up as the head minor league coach. And same thing with podcasting. I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I just want to be what I do. If you can make a couple of bucks at it and make it worth your time, and you have some sort of a decent following, and people enjoy it, I'm good with that. But everyone looks at their numbers and how many thumbs up did I get and stuff. Oh, look, I got 3,000 views. You got 2,000, 2,100. It's like, dude, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean shit. It really doesn't. I mean, if it makes you feel good in your mind, but in real life, what does it mean? When you go out the door, what is it? You're getting mobbed by your podcasting for fan base. When you go to the mall, oh my God, look who it is. It's delusional, especially since most of us are middle-aged guys. No one here is Brad Pitt. I mean, calm down. I mean, seriously, I don't take it as seriously. Other people blow it up like this is such serious business. Well, it wasn't serious business for 10 years when we were talking about, people's vaginas and sex of life and, making fun of everybody and stuff. Now it's serious because someone else decided it is. I don't want anything to do with that. So, I mean, so sometimes going your own way and things happening for a reason is a good thing. If I have to curb my humor on Twitter and watch my mouth and can't curse on YouTube, well, I don't want any part of it. I don't want any part of it. You know what I mean? Then go be you or be somebody else and be this Mr. Rogers character, almost like Bray Wyatt, and I'll go be Kevin Castle, but always like myself. And if that means less money, less fan base, that's what I'm going to do. I don't have any pie in the sky delusions about this business at all. And I think that's where the difference comes between certain podcasters. Realistic, delusional, and and again, you can believe in yourself and think you're the shit. I personally think I'm the best, but again, people will judge that and know, well, how many followers, how many. It's not that. It's knowledge. It's knowing the product of what you talk about, and I think, for wrestling, I've 2 master's degrees in wrestling knowledge. And I see other people who podcast and I shake my head. They don't even know who half the people are from the territories from back in the day. So how could they say that they're a wrestling aficionado? You don't even know anything post 1985. I'm pre 1985. I mean, I don't get that. So, my whole thing is, and same thing with pop culture. I wasn't going to do a show with Baseball Chickie unless I knew what I was talking about. And when she told me what the subject matter was, I'm like, oh, I'm good with that. Like that's right up my alley, all that stuff. So it was perfect. As you know, like you said, Drew, you do this, you build a following, a couple people enjoy it. It's great. Then granted, no one wants to waste their time. Nobody wants to waste their time. I don't want either, even though some of us have more time on our hands than others because we're locked out of our regular careers, which by the way, New York again, looks like it's going backwards. So if I'm a little amped up today, it's probably because of a couple of reasons. New York incident, and I'm very concerned about Lucky 13, a club that a lot of you guys hear on all shows that I talk about all the time. It was the infamous place that Soup had their thing with my brother, and Don Tony was there, and last April, and it was the whole big thing. Everybody knows the club. That club is in very big danger of closing down forever right now. It's on the cusp right now. And that would be the final nail probably in my coffin because that's the last place out of the 4 clubs that I work at that's still open. The other 3 are gone. Since I was last on your podcast, Drew, 2 of my clubs have closed down in the last couple of months. This would be the 4th and final, and that might call it a wrap on my career in the New York club industry because I don't know if I want to work with other people outside of this. These were like my brothers in arms. And, we had a whole bunch of people standing behind us before. Now, today, even more people are like, I'm out. I had 3 people quit today and tell me on the phone they're out of the business. They're out. Not coming back. They're out. Fuck this. As long as Cuomo's governor and de Blasio's mayor, I can't make a living. What are you going to do? I have no idea. That's all I heard today. I have no idea, and I'm out. So if, again, I sound a little amped up, I am for a reason. And also, a very good friend of ours died yesterday when I posted about my friend Jimmy Chinichi. So I'm a little definitely amped up Kev Castle today.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, that's why I want you on here. I want you to be able to come on here and know you can always just say what's on your mind, man. Like I don't want you to hold back. I'm not going to force you to talk about something you don't want to. I want you to come on here and just like vent. You know what I mean? And,
I appreciate that. And again, it's not that I don't, go all out on my podcast on Discord, but I could say certain things and not say other things for obvious reasons. Because don't want to give any excuses for any more nonsense. Let's just call it nonsense. Because we're all tired of it. Let's be honest, we're all tired of it. And everybody here could be a DTKC fan. You could be a fan of both of us, and you could be a fan of us, classic DTKC, which most people are. And thank God, because we would have nothing if it wasn't for DTKC fans, both of us. I can only speak for myself, but we would be nowhere without that show. Nowhere. So again, I miss it too, but decisions were made that were out of my hands. And again, in the end, if everything works out and things happen for a reason, maybe one day I'll even thank the situation and say, maybe it was a good thing because it forced me into other outlets and other avenues and stuff. So again, I'm more like, and quite honestly, I'm more upset about my main career. Podcasting is 20% of my income. My 80% of my income has been gone since fucking March 16th. Doing everything I can to get by every day, selling things. You saw today I posted, which I'll never sell, by the way, vintage picture of Brian Pillman and Owen Hart from their rookie years in Stampede that I had autographed. I posted it today for everybody to see. Because, I'm a private guy. I don't post too much stuff. You saw an old picture of me the other day, being a little bit more open to doing that now, just because it's just not my thing. But I like, let me show some people some things that I talk about all the time, and everyone seems to enjoy it. So, even maybe tomorrow I'll post some more things online and show some people some of my merch and some private stuff. But I've parted ways with a lot of that stuff because, again, just to make ends meet and do what you got to do and I posted today, someone says to me or post cryptically, oh, people in restaurant clubs should get used to, I told you this was going to happen. To go tell someone of 30 years to go get another career in their 50s, Matt, flip that on you and see how you would feel about that. Even tell my brother Draper to knock it off with your doom and gloom shit because you're not in the club business. You don't know how we feel. And, you're rubbing a lot of your friends the wrong way who are in the industry because you're not in it. And it's easy for you to say, you're not in it, bro. You're not in it. You're an outsider looking in. If I am not in the NFL and me telling a guy who played football his whole life, hey, dude, suck it up. Go get another thing. It's over for you. You shake your head at stuff like that because you say to yourself, do they realize the depression, the kind of the downtrodden mentality you have when all you know and all you do and everything you put in is taken away from you. You didn't do anything to lose it. You didn't do anything to deserve it. It's circumstances beyond your control. That's worse than when you do something to get kicked out of something. That's even worse because you feel like someone's holding you back from pursuing and taking part in something that all you know. And I think for anybody to go, just go do something. You should just have a rainy day backup plan. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know how people feel. And I'm very, you ever notice when I post stuff, I never ever speak on industries that I'm not involved in. Anybody who hears this show will say, yeah, Kev never really talks about shit he doesn't know. Right. I stay out of it. Do I know anything about the insurance business, Don Antonio? It's not a fucking thing. Don't know anything about it. Can't tell them about it. Do I know anything about the car auto dealer salesmanship? Nope. I don't know anything about it. I'm not a car expert. I don't know what a fucking Mazda goes for nowadays. I don't sell cars. I don't know. I do know the club business and I do know the wrestling podcast business. So when someone tries to tell me about it, I'm like, dude, who are you talking to? I practically, there's no higher person in a level business. Who's in a business for 30 years these days? So again, today I had to not even watch certain posts. Oh, well, Ticketmaster. So I go, all clubs are going to shut down. I was like, you realize like these are people's lives. People will commit suicide over shit like this. You telling people suck it up. It's like, shut the fuck up. I talked to a club owner today. Said, I swear to God, I think I'm going to shoot the next person in the face who tells me what I should do with my business. I'm like, I know people don't get it. Rest assured that the person giving you bad advice about just abandon your business and don't worry about it is a person who's got a lot of money and is sitting pretty in their home. It's never a person who's also on their ass or whatever, or unless misery loves company. Some people like to spread the misery around. If I'm miserable, I want you to be miserable too. I personally don't think that's a good business motto. You know what I mean, Drew? I don't want my friends to be sad because I'm sad. I don't want, hey, Drew, I'm having a good day today. Well, I don't like that. Tell me something horrible. There's just people, misery loves company, but I don't like the misery loves company thing. I never was into that stuff. I don't, I want to build my friends up. My friend's having a bad day. I'm going to call them up and, people think like they're being like a tough guy, like tough love. Like I'm going to set them straight. How are you setting someone straight when you're not in the business? You don't know what you're talking about. Just like the podcasters who talk about the locker room, like they're in the locker room. Well, Karrion Kross is probably, I'm like, what you said is completely not true. First of all, because I know Karrion Kross, and what you said is not even remotely true that you put out to your listeners. You just basically said your opinion. Opinion is not facts. Opinion is not facts. You know what I mean? So, I'm on the inside of a lot of things, and, I'm on the secrecy with certain things. I can't say things, but I sit back and I go, that's not true, what this guy just posted or what this guy just said. And that's for multiple podcasts. Again, but Twitter, I tried to even, avoid it because, even posting about my friend who died, I was like worried that someone's going to post, oh, was it COVID? Oh, was it? I'm like, no, it wasn't COVID, moron. He had diabetes for 25 years and he's been sick and he had a kidney transplant and he had organ failure and he died, it wasn't COVID at all. So it's just like, I don't even want to post anything anymore. You know what I mean? Because you always got some medical doctor or some idiot who just ruins your day, will post some stupid thing. And it's just like, That's why I'm not revealing my plans online about what I'm going to do in the name of the new show and the thing. Well, the only thing I'm telling people is I'll be doing something with Baseball Chickie in the new year. I'm not saying what month it is. I'm not saying what start date it is. I'm not saying anything. All you know is I'll be working with her on a new podcast in the new year. Could be January 30th. Could be February 14th, Valentine's Day. Could be April 1st. No one's going to know until we're ready to post it. Because I don't want anybody to come in and ruin it, you know what I mean? Or just rain on it, because there's always some hater in the background. And again, I don't even fuck with anybody, so I don't even know why anybody would want to do that. But, it's jealous people, I got to suffer because certain people couldn't get dates in high school. So
that's like very specific. But, just this whole pandemic deal is it's really revealed a lot of people's true colors because you have the people, like you just mentioned, that'll have the balls to say, oh, well, maybe you can find something else. And it's like, are you going to find me this something else?
Exactly.
Like, do you have a rich uncle that works in real estate or works for a Fortune, 500 company that's going to give me a job just right out of the blue? It's just people they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They really don't. And again, there's always going to be the people that, like you mentioned, that will say, suck it up. You just need to deal with it. And it's like, dude, seriously, like, and I said this to you when you were on the show before. It's like, if anyone has a gripe, if anyone has an actual reason to just say, fuck it all, it's you.
Yeah.
Because, I don't need to say it, but, you've basically, this whole COVID thing has fucked you. Like,
it definitely is.
It has royally fucked you. And if you have a reason to just say, you know what, fuck it. Fuck it all. I'm pissed off. I want to rant. Just rant, and just, if anyone has a problem with it, they can just go piss off.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for saying that. No, not just me, just people in my industry, again, and something.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why, again, I say to myself, don't even, bother certain, people say stupid things, try and get themselves over. Listen, it's not my fault if you're not over as you want to be. You're using my name to get you. I'm a pretty popular guy. Hating on me is not going to get you, not going to get you help. It's going to get you more heat. And it's just like, pick another target because you're, first of all, again, if you can't step to me in real life, don't step to me online. You know what I mean? And I'm not even joking. If you would never have the balls to come up to me at Lucky 13 and try to start a fight with me. Don't step to me online. It's just so fake. It's transparent. No one believes that you can do anything to me. If you look at the person who's talking shit against me, no one believes this person's going to be able to do anything to me. So it's like, it's like me saying, hey, Cross, cursing somebody out online, being a tough guy online and trying to get over with little sarcasm. And that's what my brother, you see, my brother has no tolerance for that, Draper. And I give my brother credit because one time someone said to me, would your brother actually go? Yeah, my brother would actually go and hit that dude. Absolutely. Not even, he does not care if he gets arrested. Again, well, right now in New York, you get out within a day when you get arrested, so it's no big deal to get arrested. You won't even get any, nothing will happen to you for a simple assault. Zero. Nothing's going to happen. It's the perfect time to punch somebody in the face. Right now in New York, if you want to punch somebody in the face, it is prime time right now. And if you're a different ethnicity, it's a beautiful thing. So again, you're in good shape right now. You can hit somebody in the face 9 a.m., you're out by 6 p.m. It's not even a problem.
I guess we're going to New York, but go ahead.
Yeah, come to New York. You can assault somebody. You'll be out the next day. I had a bunch of friends arrested. True story. It was in the news. There was an underground party in New York on Halloween. True story. Look it up. I know all the dudes involved in it. Kingsland presents 400 people at an underground Brooklyn warehouse. I know all those guys who ran those things. I know the dude who got arrested. I know the dude who resisted arrest. They were all out the next day. They were all out, and I even said to one of the dudes who's a security guy, what's going to happen? He goes, nah, nothing. Everything's fine. I was like, really? He goes, yeah, nothing. We're not looking at any time at all. And again, one resisted arrest. They had a COVID party. They went against the rules. It was like a fuck homo type of thing. Now, I don't necessarily agree with what they did, but they totally outlawed it. They got raided. Everyone who worked that event got arrested, including the bartender, the DJ who I know. I know all those dudes have made the paper, everything. I got calls all Halloween, like, Kev, you see you got arrested, blah, blah, blah. I worked with the head of security guy there who got arrested. And, I waited because I'm like, I'm not going to hit them up right now. I was monitoring their social media pages and saying, oh shit, I haven't seen one of the guys' name's Aaron. I was like, I haven't seen Aaron online the whole day. I looked at his girlfriend's page. I'm friends with her too. And I'm like, but then this happened Saturday night, Halloween. Monday, they're posting, shit, so what do you think about the election tomorrow? I'm like, I hit him up. I'm like, dude, you're all right? Like, I saw you arrested. I saw you on the news. Yeah, we're out. Everything's good. We got out last night. I was like, you got released on a Sunday? Yeah, the judge let us out. I was like, everything cool? Yeah, I can't really talk about it, but it's fine. I'll be fine. I was like, wow. I was like, that was, you were on the news, right? He goes, yeah. I mean, listen, man. Fucking, I'm not going to use the word he said, ends are broke, he said. He's a black guy. Said, ends are broke. He goes, I got to fucking make money, bro. He goes, people want to hate on me politically. I'm not trying to get people sick, but this lockdown shit has killed my promotion. I'm like, no, I hear you. And he goes, but, it was, to me, it was worth it. I was like, really? Was it worth it? He goes, yeah, because again, people came out. It showed that people weren't scared. 400 people showed up. I was like, we just were trying to test on the waters to see if people were still down to come out to a party. It was almost like a test when we get the green light to come back. And I said, okay, I hear what you're saying. But the bad thing about it is now the guy who owns the club, whose name of the promotion is, he got kind of his liquor license can be on the line because he's the one who he didn't green light it, but they used his name, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And now I don't know what's going to happen with that. And that's another place that I used to be. It was a hip hop, dance thing. It had nothing to do with rock or metal, but these guys work all different events. But these guys made like it was no big thing. And years ago, you got arrested, you got raided. It was like a big disgrace, and everyone was like, "I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to get a lawyer." These guys were acting like it was a Swedish massage. Like nothing, no big thing. Even told me getting arrested now in New York for something like a misdemeanor, nothing. And I'm like, if I want to punch somebody in the face, how would that go? But I was telling my brother, I said, John, it looks like, we won't spend like 12 hours in jail. But again, I'm just obviously I'm kidding around. I don't want to go to jail. I mean, no one wants to go to jail. But I was very surprised of the attitude of, no bond out in a day kind of situation, which troubles me and worries me a little bit too. Because even if you break into somebody's car, breaking and entering or something like that, depending on the situation, you could be out right away. Simple assault, you could be out right away. So certain things where I'm like, that's good, but it's also bad. It's bad if the assailant, is coming after you. You know what I mean? So here in New York, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have lockdowns, but for some reason, get arrested and get out within a day. That's what's going on here in New York City.
So come
come
to New York for the nightlife, the pizza, and also you can punch somebody in the face.
It's bizarro land out there, man. I don't know what's going on. I mean, again, even for Jimmy, my friend's wake plans, and I didn't want to hit up his girlfriend. She's so overwhelmed right now. So I hit up a friend of his cousin. I said, anybody know what's going on for service for this guy? Or, we're not immediate family. I assume we can't go. Can I give my last respects? Do I just send a card? What do I do? Because this guy's got thousands of friends. This dude is mad popular, Jimmy. He had his own podcast, the Jimmy Chinichi Show. He's a popular guy here in New York. I mean, I'm one of thousands of people who are his friend, but I'm in a smaller circle because I know him for 27 years. I mean, we go back a long way. A lot of people just met him in the last 10, 15 years. He's also Bret Michaels impersonator. He does a Poison tribute band here in New York. And so he's known in the little, pseudo celebrity community. And so his death was a shock to everybody. Not really people who knew his illness and what he was dealing with the kidney transplant, which I knew about for the last few years. I had seen him 2 years ago. I spent a lot of time with him when he came down to my club to interview John Corabi, the former singer from Motley Crue, and he did his podcast in our club. And he wasn't looking too good then. He was having, you get a kidney transplant, dude. It's a real, superstar Billy Graham in and out of the hospital. Jim was like that, but Jim also had an enlarged heart. He had a lot of health problems, and since he was a kid. And again, I wish we can have. I can't plan. Normally I'd be getting together with other promoters and stuff and bookers and say, let's have a memorial for Jim or whatever. And I already balked at the online thing. I don't want to do that for this dude. Let's wait till we get back and we can get together and have a live thing where we could see each other like human beings. I mean, this online thing, it's like, and everyone didn't want to do it anyway because this guy was all about live music and getting together and community. The fuck this like reunion and getting people on a Zoom and memory. It's just, it's irritating enough with wrestling. Now you have to do it like with TV shows and stuff. And I don't want this to be the way of the world. I'll hold out and wait till we can get back and actually see each other in real life. I mean, you're in Texas. Your world is a little bit different, obviously. You get to go to work and see people. Here we don't get. The only people I get to see is James Ryder and my friend Mike SOS and my friend Jay, female. Those are the only people I get to see. I haven't seen anybody else. I saw my mother from across the street outside of her fence, and I waved to her and I talked to her through the car window because she had to give me something. She left it on the stoop. I picked it up. I waved to her in the window and I left. That's how I saw my mother so far this year. That was it. That was it. So again, I've only had interactions with 3 people since March in live person. Everybody else has been on the phone, online, Zoom, interviews, podcasts. So I envy anybody who's actually had to get to see people on the regular in their profession. I mean, you could tell me, I'm taking up a lot of talk time here, but how is it going in Texas? Like with you, are you wearing a mask at work? Like, how's it work in your world? Like now, is it nothing's changed? Is it extreme like here in New York? Give me the comparison of what your daily day is with your girlfriend, with your family. How do you see and interact with people?
I don't want to sound like I'm like rubbing in your face, but it's just,
no. I want to hear. I want to reminisce about how it used to be for me.
Well, I mean, basically, yeah, we still have to wear a mask. I social distance. I wash my hands. Hand sanitizer and whatnot at work. Same thing. We got to wear our masks. They just recently allowed us to grow facial hair again because for a while we couldn't have any facial hair at all. Not a beard,
really?
mustache. Yeah, because I guess I don't know. I don't know what having a beard has to do with safety guidelines or whatever. We had to be clean shaven and then they lifted the ban on that when things started to, I guess, get a little better with the COVID. Because the last time you were here, I was telling you that the numbers are going down, but we're seeing a rise in COVID again because I think people are getting too comfortable. They're thinking, oh well, the numbers are going down, so we can just do A, B, C, and D. It's like, no, keep it going. So they're all the way down to 0. Don't just wait for them to get down to like 100. Wait for 0. So me and my girl would live together. Of course we don't like social distance in the house. I mean, because that'll just be weird. But whenever we go out, we wear the masks. We wash our hands. We're able to go to restaurants. They have social distance at restaurants. I think they'll have like 2 tables blocked off, and they'll have another table and then 2 others blocked off. Movie theaters, same thing. They social distance here too. Like if you go into a theater, they'll have 2 seats open, and then they'll have like 4 seats blocked off, and then they'll have 2 seats open and 4 seats blocked off. And depending on how wide the row is, they'll have like an extra seat available. So going to the movies is actually safe, despite what other people are saying. But I can't complain. I mean, I'm lucky that COVID isn't as bad over here. But like I was saying, the numbers are going back up, so we can be expecting to see another lockdown, another curfew and everything.
But your governor and the mayors of certain cities are not exactly quick on the trigger finger of that, right? They'll do it only if they have to. Like you guys are similar to Florida. Like you're not just going to lock down willy nilly. It's going to be only if really push comes to shove. Not like where New York will lock down at the drop of a hat, New Jersey too, and change everybody's life in a hot minute. But you guys are more. Let's see what we can do to keep people working here.
I think we're a little bit better than Florida, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're going to go back to another, curfew because before I think the curfew was like 10 or 11, and and I believe because this didn't happen to me, but like I believe if you were going somewhere at 11, like if you're going to the store and you got pulled over and they asked you, hey, where are you going? There's a curfew. You have to let them know, hey, I'm just going to the store. It's like right there, and a lot of stores around here, closed early. Like Walmart, which was known for being 24 hours, now it closes at 11. Our local, grocery chain in Texas, H-E-B, especially the one by our house, used to be 24/7. Now it closes at 11. And what is it? The current grocery store my girl works at, they decided to do something stupid because they actually changed their time from, I think, was it 7 to 9, which was actually better because their sales are actually going up whenever they did change the time, but then they decided to go back to being 7 to 10.
Oh.
And that actually made it worse.
Yeah, I mean, they're here with the 10 o'clock. I mean, midnight was the original curfew, and places like Lucky 13 and all these other bars and eateries needed that 2 hours extra desperately. On Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, desperately needed that 2 hours. So people would say, oh, it's only 2 hours. Again, people who just don't get it, taking away the 2 prime hours from drinking revenue and income is devastating. It is that 2 hours that's, could be $1,000 income into the bar. Again, people just don't get it. They're barely getting by. People are behind 9 months in rent. People are behind. People have final notices. People have January evictions pending because they got away with not paying rent or paying half rent for so long, and IOUs and handshake agreements, and we'll see how it goes kind of thing. Nothing set in stone. There's so many things that are up in the air. Everyone is so anxious and uncertain. And it's just not a good way to live, and it's not a good way to be. And it's so funny. Everyone's worried about getting COVID. I'm worried about people killing themselves and then the suicide rate going up, especially during the holidays. The holidays are fucking ruined. Back in March, I never thought for a million. I don't want to hear anybody say different. Oh, I knew this was going to be the rest of the year. No, you didn't, because everybody was like, by summer and the hot weather and outdoors, this should subside, get back to normal by the fall. No one said it was going to. I'm seeing all these, again, medical doctors who aren't in the medical field I didn't know they were doctors. It was funny. I know I had so many people in the medical community as fans of the DTKC show. I didn't know we attracted all these physicians. I could have thought certain people worked in other fields. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. It's going to be another 2 years. It's like, who are you getting this from? These are the same people who talk about politics and say Trump said this and Biden is about that. And I just shake my head and I'm like, I sometimes just don't even want to deal with anybody. I just want to that's why you wonder why I flock to cats and caring for stray cats, because at least they'll give you the loyalty and love right back and not say anything other than a fucking meow. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'll take insipid meows all day long over just the nonsense that comes out of people's mouths on podcasts and online of just like, I said in a post a couple of weeks ago, what do you want out of the new presidency regime if Biden, Trump, in the new year, what do you want to see happen besides COVID ending? I want to not resent half the people I know anymore. I want to not look at them post something and go, what a jerk off this guy is or girl is. Like, what an asshole. Like, I don't like this person anymore. Not because they don't vote like me. They don't act, because everything they post is just so divisive. And you know what I mean, Drew? Like, so Debbie Downer. So do you have any jokes? Did anything good happen to you today? Oh, well, 2020 continues again, such and such. And I'm like, even with my friend Jimmy dying, you're not going to see me for the next week just post all these downtrodden, depressive. You even saw me today get a little comical with stuff, and I posted some retro things today and some haha stuff because that's the way my friend was, and he wouldn't want me to be, Kev, don't be all depressive and boo. It's I wouldn't want you to be like that. I wouldn't be like that for you. Don't be like that for me, because that's a real friend that I know. He's a laughable, lovable guy. If you ever see his Facebook, he's always laughing and joking and making silly faces, putting masks on, acting a fool. And again, that's how I like people to be. There's so many people I say that have become so humorless that I just resent. I don't want to resent my friends and people I used to like anymore by just their garbage that I hear from them. And you're right, Jim. You said it before, Drew. If anybody has a reason to be angry, it's a guy like me. But I'm less. It's funny. Their careers are intact, and they're all boo-hoo every day and bitching and complaining. I'm out of work, almost out of money and out of time, and I'm still managing to pull off yuck jokes. You know what I mean? So again, I say to myself, here's someone gainfully employed, guy or girl, has a fiance or a wife or a kid, family, income, house, roof over their head, nice car. What the fuck? What are they so downtrodden every day about? You're actually you're in a better position than a lot of other people. Write something to lift people's spirits. What's with this fear mongering shit every day? And again, I want to go back to liking people again. You know what I mean? Liking fellow people in the podcasting industry, liking certain. I love all the fans. I mean, all you guys are great. Again, you remember a year or two, Drew, ago, I had a reputation. I'm not fan friendly. I'm the most fan friendly guy. You can speak for me. What other podcaster gets on the phone with fans and talks 2 hours on their own phone on their own time on a Thursday night shooting the shit? There's podcasters who won't even give you their phone number. There's podcasters who won't even tell you where they live because they fear, I don't want the press finding out where I live. Half you guys on this fucking show have my personal phone number, know exactly where I live, know my mother's name, my brothers, my whole fucking family. There's other podcasters who won't even reveal how old they are. So it's like, I think that's so funny that I got criticized. I'm like, who's more open than me? You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to post like pictures of myself. First of all, because I'm not a chick and I'm a middle-aged man. I think it's weird for middle-aged men to take bathroom shots of themselves with a selfie stick. I mean, there's something like feminine about that. What do you want to look into my beautiful hazel eyes? I mean, again, it's just weird to me. Here's me. Look, I lost 10 pounds. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Who fucking cares? Here's me. Oh, you want to look like me? No, I don't want to look like you. No, I don't. No, thanks. I'm good. I'm good with my facial hair. But again, I find it quite honestly very feminine. With that middle-aged men post a lot of selfies and pictures of themselves. Well, I'm like, Dude, no one wants to look at you. Guaranteed your wife is banging your cousin. So why don't you pay attention at home instead of worrying about putting yourself online? And how many likes did I get for my not so handsome picture because I beautified it with fucking all sorts of gadgets that you could do on your phone? It's not even really how you look anyway. I know so many guys who I met in real life. I'm like, that's not how that motherfucker looked in his picture. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, you have all those gadgets, those beautification things. You take the lines out of your face and stuff. And I'm just like rolling my eyes. And I'm just like, when can men just be men and just have a conversation and just talk? And what's the mystery to people too? Back in the day on the radio, when I heard people on CBS and all these shows, my Uncle Carl Dayton, my uncle was like the mystery man. And when he went and did appearances, he worked for CBS. People were like, oh, that's what Carl looks like. Or whatever. Like, you keep a mystery. Now the mystery is gone. You're like, oh, this motherfucker again. I got to the point where I started seeing podcasts online. Like, oh, I don't want to look at this motherfucker's face anymore. It's like this dumbass fucking dude. And I'm just like, again, even if you're a really good looking person, after a while, it's just like, seen it, done it, bye. It's like banging the same, person over and over again. It's like a booty call. It's like, I'm bored. I want to move on. So again, I want to keep mystique in podcasting and in radio and keep it kind of like the way it used to be. I think everything's it's good to give a lot of yourself, but if you overexpose yourself, I think people start looking at you and like, next, who can I go to? And in America, we have a very short attention span, Drew. People that's why we flip channels. Oh, I'm watching Raw, I'm watching Family Guy now. Like, something doesn't capture your interest in 5 minutes, or you're looking at something that visually is not appealing to you, you're going to switch the channel. But if you're getting good conversation and you're hearing, wow, this back and forth is pretty good. This conversation is interesting. It's intense. It's keeping my interest. It doesn't matter what the visual is. It's what you hear in podcasting. Podcasting is about vocal presence. It's not about face shots. I learned that from my uncle, who's an old school radio guy. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what anybody else says. I think a good radio show is a good radio show. A TV show is a TV show. I get the whole value of YouTube and doing stuff like that. Listen, I'm going to be with a hot chick and we might do video because people are going to want to stare at her tits and stare at her face. And she knows that. She knows that already. She knows, hey, make more money that way if we put me on camera. And I was like, yeah, I know. I don't want to, make you feel. And she goes, no, I mean, and she's got a boyfriend and she has to discuss that with him and stuff because, again, it's very intrusive and decisions have to be made. Whether we're an audio or video show, I'm going to put it in her hands too, because she has it's more intrusive for her being a female. You know what I mean? I'm some middle-aged guy. Who cares what I look like? But, for her, she's the face, so, but again, if it has to make sense, it has to make sense. And I'm not an exploitive type of guy anyway, so I'm never going to do that to my friend. You know what I mean? So, we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens with everything. But I love the whole concept of what we're doing now. Radio, verbal presence, have good conversation. That'll keep people's interest. Again, staring into a camera like a da-da-da, that's interesting for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I get you. I don't really, I never really wanted to do like the whole video thing. I would just rather keep it simple and just do audio. It's funny, you're talking about how, in podcasting, you see a lot of people, that, go on their social media and will say, hey, A, B, C, and D, like, hey, watch me do this. Hey, look at my new hat. It kind of, I hear that and I just think of what you think of wrestling, where it's like, there's too many flippy guys. We need more manly men in wrestling.
Yeah, no, exactly what you're saying. Again, there's a fan base for everything. There's people that listen. You can have how to hem your own pants or how to knit a sweater, and there might be 10,000 people. I want to learn. It's winter is coming. I want to learn how to knit a sweater, and all you'll see is hands and a needle point and how to knit the sweater, and it'll be like, wow, it's got 15,000 hits in 24 hours. Yeah, a lot of people want to make a sweater this winter for their, nephew or their son. So again, there's an interest for everything. That's why everyone's like, oh, if you don't go YouTube, if you don't evolve, bullshit. Because Jason Solomon's audio shows get as much traffic as any video show that he does. Same thing with Conrad. Conrad gets 50,000 listens to his audio show within a day. Okay, so that's nonsense. That's just not true. That audio shows don't get the hits and it's not worth it and it's going out of style. It's not going out of style. And I've talked to people who are bigger than me and people I've worked with and said, dude, there'll always be radio. Radio is not going anywhere. Radio is never going out of style, ever. There's room for both people because, again, Drew, people can't sit down and look at someone on a show all the time. They're on the move. You know, people even say, Kev, I can't even half the time I'm walking. I'm like power walking. I'm exercising when I'm listening to your show. So I can't watch anybody on a screen anyway, or I'm actually lying down on my bed. And quite honestly, I don't want to hold my phone up and look into a screen. So I put my thing on the side. I just lie there and I listen to the show. So again, like you said, Drew, you're relaxing right now the way you're doing a show. When you're all situated and sitting at the desk and staring, it's like this protocol. Oh shit, I got to get up and take a leak. No one will ever even know if you're on an audio show. You know how many times I've left my desk? No one ever was the wiser. I didn't make a fucking sound because I had to get up. My cat threw up or something. No one would even ever know. So it's just like, again, there's the mystery to that. It's like, oh, sounds like a little disruptive in the background. I'm like, I'm not going to sell it. There's certain times I will sell it and I'll say, oh shit, you know, something just happened. I got to go for a minute. You know, obviously emergencies happen in the house. But again, you know, you're so stuck and regimented if you're in that kind of format. And again, if you want to do that, more power to you. Because again, you know, as time will go on, and I'll get to talk about down the road if anybody ever asks me, the whole reason of me not being on Monday anymore is because I wouldn't adhere to someone else's wishes. And I had a vision for what I wanted to do. Tale of two opinions to do things different ways. That's why it really didn't work out. And that's the whole truth. It wasn't about didn't want to do it anymore. This one doesn't respect the fans. This one doesn't do this or this one. It was two people who, I want to do this. Well, I want to do that. Well, I'm going to do it this way. Well, I want to do it that way. But didn't work out. That's what it really was. It's all that. And that's it. That's it in one big ball. Boom. Kev wants to do audio. I want to do video. Okay. That's it. And guess what? You want mayonnaise on your sandwich? I want mustard on my sandwich. You're entitled to your mayo. I'm entitled to my mustard. You know, no one's under contract here. Drew, you have to have your sandwich like this. Why? Because that's the way it is. No, it isn't the way it is. It's the way you said it is, right? It's the way you said it is. This is you know, you don't like something just like this. I'm on the Yankees. The Yankees say you can't have facial hair anymore. But if I go play for the Mets, I can have a beard. I can have long hair. I like my look. I'm going to go play for the Mets. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
No, I get you because, you know, and just on a side note, Trez joined the chat, so Trez.
No, good. I was just about to trash her, so I'm glad she's here.
Yeah, we're about to just really go in on her. What a jerk. Anyways, never has time for her friends. Anyways, but yeah, it's just like, and I hate when people do that. When they do the whole, you know, you should like this because it's the greatest thing ever in my world. It's like in wrestling. It's like, you know, everything always seems to go back to wrestling. It's like, you know, with AEW, and this isn't a knock on people who like AEW. You know, and I know a lot of people do like AEW, but it's just like, it's like whenever you make one little small criticism on AEW, even if it's just like, hey, I didn't really care for that match. Well, why? It's the greatest match ever. You're just an idiot. You know, and I remember Joe Numbers, you know, from Soup, had said he literally got death threats for just saying that Darby Allin should stop doing these stunts.
Yeah, of course, because people want you to adhere to a narrative, and there are options. That's why we just had a fucking election. You don't have to do it. And again, if you don't see eye to eye, go and do something else. But there doesn't have to be this nonsensical divisiveness and cheap shotting and name calling and stuff. And he's dumb. And, you know, my way's right? Everybody thumbs up if you think I'm right. Like, that doesn't do anything. You didn't change anybody's mind. And all you did was further divisiveness in two camps. What you did is, here's A and B. We used to all be one big family. Now we're divided. And you're continuing to push the narrative to keep us divided. If you do that, you are an asshole. I'm sorry. The thing is, bring everybody together and say, hey, it's okay to be different. It's okay that you like punk rock and I like heavy metal. It's okay that you like dance music and have slick back hairdo and I prefer a shaved head and a full beard. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not a low life because I have tattoos all over me and you're clean shaven and have no tattoos. You're not holier than thou because you're better than me. I mean, I don't get that. I mean, I don't, again, that's why even on last night's show, when we were talking about the election, I said, I just want peace in the valley. I just want the country to not burn down over fucking nonsense of people who think they're supposed to hate each other when we're all really the same. We all bleed. We all fucking have the same fucking fears. We all can get cancer and die. We all have, either we have, hang-ups or anxieties that are very similar. Everybody thinks, again, all these things define you by what your interests are. I know people who are married for 35 years who don't have any of the same interests of anything other than they love each other. Do you understand what I'm saying, Drew? They don't like the same music. They don't like the same movies. That one likes baseball, one likes football. So I don't understand this new thing, especially of middle-aged people, where they don't, wow, you're different from me. I don't know how to handle that. How do I process that he thinks differently than me? Oh, I'll insult him or I'll insult her. I'll trash them on YouTube. I'll make like they're an idiot, and that should fix them. No, dude. What you just did was make half your people who thought you were cool think you're a dick. And now, just like fucking Mick Foley, who went online and said, hey, Jim Cornette, if you're a Republican or you voted for Ronald Reagan or George Bush, don't follow me. If you're a Trumper, I don't want your fandom. I don't want you. Here's your money back. I don't want you buying my shirts. That is the stupidest business acumen I've ever heard in my life. And it's a stupid way to be in real life. It's just so fucking ignorant. I mean, it really is. I could care less if anybody voted for Biden and Trump. It's how you treat me and what I think of you as a person. I have never lost a good friend over politics ever, never. And it certainly was never going to be from my end anyway. I mean, I think people would tell me last night after the show, yeah, dude, I'm not talking to my brother anymore. I'm like, that's fucking pathetic, man. Over these two morons, Biden and Trump, you're not talking to your brother anymore? I couldn't even imagine that. I mean, granted, me and Draper will argue about the stupidest things, but we still, 2 days later, we're fine and we talk to each other. You know what I mean? We have arguments and then 48 hours, we don't remember what it was about. You know? So again, I think to say, do it this way or you're an idiot, whose mind are you changing when you do that? Insulting people doesn't change minds. It never will work. All you're doing is causing further heat. If you want that heat, and maybe you don't want that heat, because that heat can turn into severe hate, and severe hate can turn into violence. You know what I'm saying? And we saw very good examples of that as people stomping and kicking people in the head unmercilessly on the ground because they had a Trump sign or because they had a Biden sign. And it's ugly, man. It's ugly. And I want no part of it. I said it last night on the show. I want no part of any of that stuff. I just want everyone to be cool, and I don't think that that's naive to say that. I think that people are just so wound up from COVID and the lockdown and the uncertainty of their futures and their lives that they're becoming angry now, and fear sparks anger and anger sparks fear. And I think when you get the two of them and you mix it all together, you got a bad thing waiting to happen. And I don't know if you didn't hear our show last night with me, Mish, and Anthony, and I thought it was very good, by the way. I thought all three of us made some valid points, and it was very good conversation. I thought it was one of the best episodes we've ever done together. And I, said, when Anthony was telling his father, and I got to say, it kind of touched a nerve in me when Anthony was telling the story about begging his father, literally, to please don't put Trump signs in front of the house. I'm afraid you and Mom are going to get hurt. Someone's going to hurt you, Dad. They're going to hit you. You're 70-something years old. And I connected with Anthony then because I thought about how my father would be like his father, old school Italian, militant, tough. I'm not going to let anybody tell me I fought in wars for this country. I'm not going to let anybody tell me I can't put a flag in front of my house. And I said to Anthony last night, I don't know if anybody who was listening to this heard that. Did you ever think that you would have to be afraid for your father's safety because of how he voted? Telling your father, I don't want someone to hurt you or assault you. And he's like, no. And I think, like I said, there was like a connection. The old school DTKC way we used to be with our shows was felt last night, kind of like that kind of real profound moment on the show. If you go and listen to it, you can hear it. And it was like real talk, not like wrestling spin or anything like that. And I said, I can imagine my father too. He's gone 6 years now, but he would be too. I'm not going to let any punk tell me what to do. And I'm like, Dad, you're 74 years old. You can't throw down anymore. And I don't want you to get hurt. And I said, isn't it sad we have to think about that? We have to worry about our parents getting sick and their illness, but now we have to worry about their safety of some millennial punk. And no offense to anybody who's young. I'm just saying millennial because I would hope that an older person wouldn't do this. Hurting our parents or smacking a hat off our dad's head or ripping a shirt off our parents' back. I mean, wow. I mean, that's like fucking heinous. It was some real good talk last night on that special episode of, I guess it was Breakfast Soup that I was on last night. But, again, I thought it was some great talk, and it's true, man. I worry about my mom. My mom's not a political person at all, but I worry about her getting caught up and hurt on the street or something like that, or some idiot does something. And I'm sure, Trez is tuning in. She has older parents. Some of you guys, or even you, Drew, you're a little bit younger. I don't know how old your parents are, but our parents are elderly, who are our age at this point. So that's a worry to me. And I never, it's bad enough you got to worry about them getting cancer, getting health. Now I worry about them getting beaten up. And I've never had to think like that anymore because of this climate. It's something that's really unfortunate,
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, just the two most sensitive things in the world are, politics and religion. And I always thought it was silly. I still think it's silly that you can dislike people over politics. Like, just anyone. Like, if someone says, hey, I'm not a fan of Trump, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, I think this person's a piece of shit. Fuck him. He's an asshole. I hate him. Or, and it's weird because with Trump, it's always like, if you don't like him, then you're a snowflake. And if you like Biden, then you support, pedophilia, which I just, that's another conversation for another time. But it's just, my parents are, in their 60s, so I think that counts as elderly. Luckily they're in a position where they don't have to deal with, that kind of shit. But at the same time, you never know who they run into. You never know. You could just go to Target and can run into somebody that will look at you funny because you're wearing a Biden shirt. That always worries me. I worry a lot. I worry about everybody. I worry about my friends. I worry about my family. So, because you never know what's going to happen, especially in this day and age, and it can be, it might sound a little irrational, but sometimes being irrational is a good thing because, in this day and age, you have to think irrational because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen when you walk outside because you can walk outside and boom, somebody could shoot. Somebody could be robbing you. Somebody could punch you right in the face.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I never, even my whole life, ever wore a politician shirt, ever. Even during the Reagan days, George Bush Sr. days, even when my father was active in the military, I wore USA shirts and stuff during 4th of July when I was young. I love New York shirts, but other than political shirts, nah, I never wore anything like that. So that was never my style. But I remember back in the 90s, people wearing Clinton shirts and to shows when Clinton was running first in 92, I believe it was. And when I first started in the club business, I remember like people wearing Clinton shirts. And again, it was mostly girls. And, there was kind of a push because Reagan had dominated the 80s as president, and then George Bush Sr., the oldest Bush, was president into the 90s. So the Republicans had a 12-year run running the country from 1980 to 1992. And then, of course, it was time to hand the ball over to the Democratic Party, and Bill Clinton had the ball for the next 8 years. And then, of course, Bush W. got the nod after that. So it was kind of like a bunch of years of this, a bunch of years of that. And think about it now, and it's going in an interesting direction. Obama had the ball for 8 years, Democratic Party. Trump for 4 years. I think Trump was a Republican. I'm not sure. And now it's going back to the Democratic side. And I think it's going to flip flop every 4 years, going back and forth. I don't know. I already said I'd consider, depending on where The Rock was going to go with his politics and if he was really going to be down the middle and be kind of a centrist, I would consider voting for Rock. Tulsi Gabbard definitely has my attention, not just because she's smoking hot, but because she's also just military woman. I love her background. I just think she's cool as shit. And that's the type of woman, I think if there was going to be a first woman to be president, that's the type we need, a woman with a military background who was in combat. Very impressive and not bad on the eyes either, by the way. And young enough that she's hip enough and knows what's up in society and in music culture and in the climate of urban development and stuff like that. Someone around 40-ish which is what Obama was when he got elected. And I think Obama's first term was better than his second one because there was a lot of excitement around it. And again, I didn't sit there and begrudge. I was a McCain guy at one point, but I was kind of happy when Obama won because I saw the magnitude of what it was for the country. And second time, I just thought Obama just went right through Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney was just no match for him. It was just it was as bad as when Walter Mondale ran in '84 against Ronald Reagan. He got his ass handed to him. And so it was just so lopsided. It'd be like a jobber against like Ultimate Warrior back in '88. So it was just like, you just saw that train wreck coming. This was so close, this election. I hate the fact that we're going to be held up until December and Trump is going to do this and cause this, which is going to cause a lot of anxiousness and angst that's going on. I said last night on the show, Biden is the president. I mean, he's got the ball. I'm sorry. That's the way it is, and you got to accept it. And, let's see what they can do the next 4 years. And then in 4 years, hopefully in 2024, we'll have a cavalcade of younger, interesting, whether it's The Rock, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Republicans come up with somebody they build in a lab or something, and some super, super conservative who comes out and dazzles everybody. But no more old white men. That's enough. Enough of old white men. And I'm sure anybody listening to this podcast, and maybe you can speak for yourself, is hopefully agreeing with me. No more senior citizen white guys for a while. This is it. Enough. That's not going to work. It didn't work. Again, talk about out of touch, and that's fine that he has a younger cabinet and Kamala Harris is 50. And the president has to be on point like Obama was, like Clinton was. In a way, the first Reagan term, the second Reagan term, Reagan was getting up in his years and health was declining. That didn't go too well. But when Reagan's first 4 years, 80 to 84, fantastic. Again, something new and exciting. The old white men regime has to take a seat. We got to get somebody in there between age, I'd say 45 and 60, someone who's going to be really on the pulse of young and old and in the middle. You know what I mean? Drew, it covers all bases. You're old enough to be a parent. You're not old enough to be a grandparent, but you're old enough to know what grandparents need and what senior citizens have to have in their old age and what young people are looking for. We don't have that in Joe Biden or Donald Trump. They're too. And and listen, with age comes wisdom, but also with age comes a lot of health problems and a lot of mental kind of breakdown and, kind of receding memory patterns. And I even joked on Joe Biden stumbling and fumbling and forgetting where he was, but it's really not funny. And it's going to get worse in the next 4 years. Don't you think so?
I mean, I can't really speak on that because I haven't really politics aren't really my thing.
No. But I'm saying an old man kind of.
Yeah, I get you.
Like he's tripping, and then he looks over to his assistant, and he's like, "You're in Iowa, Joe." It's funny for a Saturday Night Live skit, and we can joke about it, but it's not funny if major decisions are being made and he's really confused. That's not good.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean? That works everywhere. It's like again, this is kind of going off. I mean, it's kind of in topic, but it's like it's like Vince. Vince needs to really. He really needs to consider stepping down and, give the reins to, someone younger like Triple H or, Shane or whoever. But yeah, I get what you, Biden in theory seems like a better choice because, Trump, we've all, been made to believe he's the devil and some might agree. I think it's more of his influence that has made things worse, but Biden maybe Biden will be a better choice. I don't know. I don't know his politics. Maybe let's see what he can do. But yeah, he's 77. He's going to be 81 by the time his term's up. Yeah, we need younger people like, Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang, I'm hearing nothing but good things about. So maybe he's a choice.
And an Asian guy too. Not, they never had a representation in the White House, so that would be nice to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, the person you just named, was it Tulsi or Tulsi Gabbard?
Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi.
Yeah, I've heard her name. I just, when you posted about her, I was just like, I heard her name before. I just didn't know what she was doing. So, yeah, we need. It's funny because being the president, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because, yeah, you need somebody. You can't have somebody who's just going to be everybody's best friend. We get that, but you need somebody that we can look at and go, that's our guy. That's our leader. We can look up to him. It's almost like if you're on a football team and, you look at your quarterback and you go, that's our guy. Like if it's, Troy Aikman or John Elway, if you're the wide receiver, you go, that's my guy. That's my leader. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of, I guess that's how I see it as, and again, I know I say I'm not a political guy, but I look at things as a human being would, which is our leader needs to be somebody we can look at and go, he or she is going to help us out of this conundrum. We trust them. We can trust them with our life. We can trust them with our income. We can trust them to get us out of this mess.
I agree. I mean, again, the president has never. Again, I'm in an industry that who was president never affected anything for us in the live music or entertainment industry. It never meant anything, to be honest with you. Never did. The only thing we would get a kick out of is when a president acknowledged a heavy metal band. Oh, that he really knows what Metallica is. So again, it never really affected the music community or the music industry. It's not a federal thing to be in the music industry. It's not a federal job. So again, it's city to city, state to state. Whoever is mayor or governor affects my industry far more than who president is. You can have SpongeBob SquarePants be the fucking president. I'd still be in the fucking same fucking predicament I'm in right now with Andrew Cuomo and fucking de Blasio as mayor and fucking governor. So that never doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing to my industry. So that's, my brother had said it the other day. How many of your lives are really going to change? And give me a specific, my brother posted something very profound the other day and very, very interesting. And no one could really come up with much. Give me a specific thing that how the president affected your life, and give me a specific real thing that I could research and know as fact, and then tell me how a new one is going to affect your life for the better, a specific real thing that is actual and factual, not speculation. And no one did, barely anybody said a thing. They're like, well, raising taxes. If I make a certain amount, me and my wife make over, if Biden is president, he's, if you make over 400,000 or whatever. First of all, I was impressed that my brother had a follower who made over 400,000. But second of all, that's a good example. Someone who does, like 50 Cent made a point. I can't vote for Biden because I'm in this percentage. I'm a millionaire. I don't want him taking my money. I don't want to be 20 cents, go from 50 cents to 20 cents. And Lil Wayne said the same thing. He, the hip hop guy, this guy's going to decimate me with my income or what I make for shows and my album sales stuff, what I got to give back to the government. I ain't feeling it. So a lot of, African-American hip-hop guys like, I ain't voting for fucking Biden if he's going to have a tax plan like that. So that's specifics. But my brother was like, common man, you make 50, 70, 100,000 a year. What is Trump or Biden? How has it really affected your life? No one can really come up with much. I don't want to see anarchy in the streets. That's speculation. That's not something that specifically affects you. Why do you riot? Are you a rioter? Are you an Antifa? Are you in the Proud Boys? So again, my brother was challenging. You know what I mean? Tell me why and tell me exactly what. And a lot of people couldn't come up with it. They just said, I hate Trump's rhetoric, or Biden's an old out of touch. I don't want him. He's not for the middle class. Again, you're saying that, but is that actually going to happen? Again, you want to support your team, so you'll come up with reasons. I mean, I even see people say, Joe Biden's a creepy old man who touches children. I can't vote for somebody like that. I'm like, and I just shake my head. I'm like, yeah, I saw the video clips and I don't think it was sexual. I mean, again, you just shake your head and you're like, oh God, and Trump said, people who go into the military are suckers and losers. Actually, Trump never said that. It has not been proven he's ever said that. It's not on record. No one came out and said it publicly. Joe Rogan was talking about it on his show today, that kind of stuff has to stop. There is no evidence of certain sound bites that ever happened. The only thing Trump said that's negative from 4 years ago that we know was grab him by the pussy. It was on tape. But soldiers are suckers and losers. He never said that. It's not a fact. It's not a fact. and you can't put and Joe Biden, did this or that, or have allegations of sexual misconduct. It's really not proven. There was never a case. There was never a criminal case. Again, if you're against cancel culture and against putting people down like a dog in a veterinarian's office because they might have done something with no evidence that they actually did it, there's going to be a lot of dead people, including a lot of people I know. Again, man, that's scary to me that some ghost from the past that leaves you in doubt can be said, no, it's true. And now push that, tell everybody this guy's a molester, tell everybody Trump is a rapist. You have to be smart enough to go, whoa, wait a minute, that's a little extreme there. I don't like the guy, but I don't know if I want to say that. You know what I mean, Drew? Like, there's people I don't like, but I don't want to say something heinous against them to ruin their lives. I don't dislike anybody that much. You know what I mean? I don't dislike anybody that much that I would get off on saying they were rapists. I mean, that's just, again, we joke on the Treasures here, ironically, and on KNT Chronicles, we joke with the rape scenes. It's but in all seriousness, someone being accused of rape is a fucking scarlet letter that you don't want to have on you. You know what I mean? In rumor mill or in fact, that's fucking scary. That's a game changer, life ruiner. And I think even whether you're a celebrity or an average Joe, at least a celebrity, you could fight back. When you're a regular person and have accusations against you like that, that can cause someone to go jump off a bridge. You know what I mean? And what do you want to, and then find out what the person never did it and it was just an ugly rumor. I don't feel comfortable saying stuff like that. I'll just say I don't care for the guy. I think he's kind of a jerk, and I'll leave it at that. But I'm not going to call him any kind of sexual assault or people calling Trump a rapist. That's never been proven. I mean, where do you get that from? Just say he's an asshole and I don't like him and be done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Especially in the past, what is it? When did Me Too really become prevalent? Like 3 years ago.
No, I would say almost close to 5 years ago. I would say Me Too movement. Anybody in the chat could tell us when the Me Too movement started? 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I think Rose McGowan came out about 4 years ago. I think she started. I think it's on the cusp of. I'd say 2015. I would say on the cusp, but it really kicked in. Now it's been quieted down, Drew, as you know, because the election COVID's taken precedent this year. Last year, Me Too was all over the place. 2020, not so much.
Well, yeah, because Trez, she's really jumped on women, specifically women, who do this. That'll do the whole they did A, B, C, and D to me. It's like with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp and his ex-wife Amber Heard. There's literally audio of her admitting to what she did, and Johnny Depp. Well, actually, the story came out was that a British, newspaper, put on the newspaper, wife beater and showed Johnny Depp's picture, and he sued them and he ended up losing. But overall, Johnny WB Warner Brothers had asked Johnny Depp, not to show up in the next Harry Potter movie because he played a big villain in the last movie and he was supposed to show up in the next movie. Yeah,
they basically canned him from doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, so he had to put out a statement saying that this is why I can't do that. All the while, Amber Heard, she still has a career. Yellow. Can anyone hear me?
Some kids, they dropped the thing.
Yeah, of course I did.
So it's going to take a minute.
Fuck.
So being some wife beater or girlfriend beater. Well, there's Drew.
My cats decided to knock over the fucking router.
Oh, the cat knocked over the router. There you go.
Yeah, because we have a router and a modem, and
okay.
So yeah, my girl just told me because she came in to get something while we were talking, and that's when the internet went out because I have the Spreaker feed on live, during the show, and I was noticing that I was reconnecting, and I was just like, That's why I was asking Crestman, hey, if you're still listening to the live feed, can you hear it? And then that's when everything just went off. So, yeah. My cat's knocked over the router, people, so.
Okay. Which cat is that?
I don't know which one, because the router and the modem are in the living room.
Oh, I was going to say, what's the name of the cat? Give me a shout out.
Yeah, fuck those cats.
Was that the one you had the picture on of the other day on there?
Again, I don't know who it was, because my sister-in-law just told my girl that it was one of the cats, but she can't really confirm which cat it was.
How many cats you got?
Well, we have the 4 kittens, which I put out that post that we found out 3 of the 4 ginger cats are actually female. And we thought that they were all boys, but only one of them are boys, but 3 of them are actually female.
They're all fixed now? They got them fixed?
Well, no, we haven't gotten them fixed yet. The one that we got fixed yesterday was our calico, their mom, Kiki.
Oh, the mom. Oh, you finally got the mom fixed.
Oh, yeah, and Trez is asking which one was the boy. Ben, he's the all-orange cat, so you can definitely tell he's a boy. The other 3 are all girls, so. But yeah, we got her fixed yesterday, so she's okay-ish.
Do you know out of the colony of cats that I have been involved with since 2007, I moved to this area, I have never, not once, not one fucking time had an orange cat. Ever.
Really?
Nope. No orange cats. I'm like, if I see one, matter of fact, I'll take that as a sign that I will guarantee that I will take that one in and personally adopt it myself, because that'll be so rare. That would be like one of those moments that this happened for a reason. 2007, what is that? We're talking 13, almost 14 years of me doing this. Never an orange cat, ever. Isn't that unbelievable? And like, what are the odds that there'll be no orange cat or multicolored orange, white cat or something like that? Nope. Not one time. The closest we had was a gray and white. It's all mostly black cats and tuxedo cats, almost 99.9%.
That's pretty crazy. I think we've had almost every other cat. We have calicles, we had tomcats, we've had what are they called? Maine Coon cats.
Yeah, I never had one of those. I would love to. I would be like, oh my God, it's got to be a sign. It is unbelievable the amount of black cats and tuxedo cats. And it's almost like, because, in a litter, it could be so random. It's not necessarily a foregone conclusion that a black cat will have all black cats. It can have a multicolored cat. It can have a grayish brown cat. But it's amazing to me. And that's why it's hard to tell a lot of the black cats apart. I tell them apart in size at this point. You know what I mean?
Like, all right, so, like, you're a cat owner. I don't know if you can clarify this. Are you at the point where you can tell which cat is which by their meow?
Like I have in the colony, there's 7 black cats, and the rest there's 14 cats total. There's 7 black ones, and the other ones are black and whites. But the black and white tuxedo ones have different color patterns. Spot on the face, one has a spot on the paw, one has a streak on the tail. The black cats, I tell pretty much by when they were born, a size where the veteran cats are kind of a little more mangier looking, the older ones. So I could kind of tell, like, I named a bunch of the black cats after the Riot Squad, like Sarah, Ruby, Liv. I named all the cats are wrestlers' names. Everybody knows that. All the cats' names are after wrestlers. Sasha, Bailey, they're all named after, because they're all, and then by the way, 10 out of 14 girl cats.
Oh, that's crazy.
10 girl cats. I know, I'm a girl cat attractor. Every day, even the cats I've had indoors, all girl cats. I'm not a boy cat guy. I've only girl cats. But that sucks because they have the litter, and if you don't get them fixed, they have 5 new kittens or whatever. So they're better off having a boy cat in the colony that's at least fixed. Once you have a girl cat, even one that's not fixed, and you got to try and figure out, oh God, this one's pregnant now. Which black cat is this? It could be a real mind fuck, because you're like, that cat's fixed, because they would trap and release with a few of them. So, but there is 1 or 2 who are in the colony who are not fixed, and it's fucking hard to tell who is. That's got to be like an exam by a veterinarian. I can't tell. How am I supposed to tell? You know what I mean? So they said, by putting collars on them and stuff. But by the way, feral cats don't like collars. And good luck getting a collar on a feral cat.
Yeah, we tried the whole collar thing. It didn't work because our cat.
Oh no, they don't like it.
Our cat Evie. We tried to put a collar on her, and she just immediately was just going apeshit crazy.
Oh, I did that to Amy. I was like, you would have thought that I was strangling her. Seriously, I was like, oh my, and I said, nope, goodbye. Because even my mom got her a collar last year for Christmas, and I was thinking of getting a collar. Now that she's got a condition, if she ever got out, I have a thing, one of those badges that she has, with the vet's number and stuff. If she ever runs away. So that's a good idea too, to have a collar. People have the microchip. I didn't want to do that. So I was going to do the collar and put this thing on her, what has the vet's number in case. And she's got her ID number of her medical thing. But she was like meowing in the most disturbing way that I'm like, this is gone. Nope. This ain't going to happen. Almost like you would have thought I was murdering her. Seriously. Like, what are you doing to me? Like, biting my hand. It was terrible. Yeah, and also when they're accustomed to nothing around their neck, think how you would feel if you put a collar on a person. You know what I mean?
I get you. So
we're anti-collars here. We're anti-vaxxers and anti-collars.
Well, I mean, it depends on what type of person you are as far as collars go. But another conversation for another time. Anyways, let's get into wrestling. So, what'd you think about the? I don't think you watch AEW, but what'd you think about NXT tonight?
NXT was okay. I got a phone call while NXT was going on. Again, I had explained earlier why I was kind of amped up because I was on the phone during NXT with certain people telling me they're quitting the business, and it was disheartening to me because certain people I really wanted to look forward to working with again. So I kind of got a little taken out of it. Again, which explains my earlier more amped up mood. I'm more calm now. But Drew always gets me in an emotional state when I get on the show. You ever notice that, Drew? I think because we're on at this time of night, and I get calls at 8:00 before the show, and someone will give me like a bad call. Not that I bring it to the show, but it brings my emotions out on the show. And I remember I'm trying to watch, and then I'm like, oh, let me talk to this person. This is a friend of mine. I want to hear what's going on with him, and what he's going to do. So again, by the time I went back to the television, what's his name had won the title in a quick fashion. The guy Ruff. Leo Ruff, the guy who cross-destroyed on his debut. Yeah,
I actually missed that because we have YouTube TV. And usually, every Wednesday night I'll be in our actual room, and I'll have NXT on the big screen, and I'll have AEW on my tablet. YouTube, for whatever reason, for about 30, 45 minutes, YouTube TV was down. So I could YouTube TV and YouTube in general were both down, so I couldn't watch anything. So yeah, I saw people post about that. So It came back around right when what was it? Cruiserweight title match, Jake Atlas versus Escobar. That's when it came back on.
Yeah.
So NXT was just okay.
It was decent. I mean, again, it was one of those shows that I was back and forth. I'm pacing as I'm on the phone. I'm walking around my apartment. I'm looking, as my friend's talking. Because then he had to call me back, and then I got back on the phone. And again, by the time I get back to the TV, when I got back to the TV again, Dexter Loomis was on at that point.
Right.
So again, I keep missing segments. The only thing I watched fully without interruption, and I knew I was going to be on your show not too far after that, so I tried to wrap up the phone call by 9:30, just to brush up, see if any new events came out, what we were going to talk about tonight. Even though I knew we were going to wing it, I was just seeing if any breaking news. And then I got to see the whole match with the tag team with the Fabulous Ones, or whatever the hell they're called. What's the name of those guys again? Fandango and his Christian, his partner, Little Christian.
Breezango.
Yeah, Breezango, Little Christian. And because he's a ripoff of Christian. And against Oney Lorcan and that new crew. So I got to see that. And I got to see Pete Dunne look like he's a lifeguard on Baywatch now. I'm glad he changed his image. As me and my brother used to say, he used to look like he was going to pick up a guitar and sing "Come to My Window" like Melissa Etheridge with that ridiculous hair and that furry vest. I mean, only Bruiser Brody can pull off the furry vest, by the way. Jesus.
Well, you heard what Brian Last said about him, right?
About furry vest?
No, about Pete Dunne, because they were reviewing the show from last week, and Jim Cornette. It's funny because Jim Cornette kind of did a 180 after what Brian Last said, where he's like, I like Pete Dunne. He was good talent, blah blah blah. And then Brian Last, just kind of said what a lot of people think is like, have a hard time really getting into him because he looks like Becky Lynch with pubes glued on his face.
Oh God!
And then, and then Jim Cornette just goes, you ruined him for me.
Well, he kind of to actually say what Draper said. He looked like a dyke. So it's just like, again, you couldn't even tell if he was male or female. He looked like a tweener. So, I didn't take him seriously in the whole stepping on and breaking people's fingers thing, which is total nonsensical. I'm going to part your fingers and pretend I break them. It's like, come on. That's your move, finger breaking. So, it's a throwback to old wrestling. I think Buzz Sawyer used to do that. So I mean, I can enjoy the old school carny mentality of pretending to break someone's fingers. I get it. I'm an old school wrestling fan, but Pete Dunne never did anything for me. Oh, he dominated the UK. He didn't dominate here, and not for nothing. If he didn't team up with Matt Riddle, those segments wouldn't have been very funny because he was the straight man to Matt Riddle's goofball. You know what I mean? That got over with him and Matt Riddle because Matt Riddle is a stoner goofball and he's so serious. But now he looks like he's going for he lost weight, put on a lot of muscle, which is great. I'm sure someone in the back told him, with your body and your pale image and this Melissa Etheridge haircut, this ain't going to fly. If you want to be a top guy, cut yourself up, cut some weight, put the hair back in a man bun or something, get rid of this ridiculous hair, and shave that stupid facial hair. And you want to be a top guy, let's get serious, or you're going to be Killer Cross's bitch when he comes back. So, again, I think Pete Dunne, someone had a conversation with him, said, listen, you're good, but you are lacking a look here. We can't market a furry vest guy with a dyke haircut. It's not going to work. Even millennials are going to, you have a few fans, but I'm telling you, that's what happened. I guarantee you that Triple H told him, you got to do something here. Something's not happening here. And he looks good. He's tan. I've never seen an English guy so tan in my life. But again, he's still missing that tangible charisma, which he doesn't have. So again, but McAfee is going to speak for him. So does he really need it? Yeah, if he's going to fly in his own, eventually he's going to need it, But McAfee's doing all the talking. What do you think of that crew, by the way? I think they're a bunch of mid-card guys who got a nice mouthpiece, but I don't see them as the kings. I mean, they're beating the shit out of Undisputed Era individually. I'm thinking Undisputed Era reforms fully and is the babyface against their heel faction, which I could find interesting. But I don't see them as this dominating force, and it looks like they're going to be that in NXT. And will they hold the interest, or will you see the ratings go down? Oni Lorcan in the main event, is that good for ratings, Drew?
I mean, it almost seems like at the moment that's kind of what's available because, Cross is out. I'm pretty sure. Again, Cross can fly on his own. Yeah, he has Scarlett, but they're both stars. They can both fly on their own, but they're good with each other. So, it'd be interesting if you were to put Cross with McAfee. Because Cross, his whole thing is he's the straight guy. He's a badass, he's no nonsense, and then you got McAfee who's just very, all over the place. It would be interesting, but you wouldn't need it. Everybody else, it just seems like they're unavailable because, Balor's his own thing. Again, it just seems like that's kind of what's available. Pete Dunne is interesting because Pete Dunne has a history with Undisputed Era. If anyone remembers, Undisputed Era, they fucked with him, because he was right. He was in a tag with Roderick, and then Roderick turned his back on him and joined the Undisputed Era. The other two, Lorcan and Birch, I like them. I don't hate them, but they're a tag team that needs a better tag team to work with in order to look interesting. Because when they were doing that whole spiel with Breezango, just it wasn't working. And I like Breezango, but it's just Lorcan and Birch need a better tag team to work with. So this could be a shot in the arm because, they're in another, main event stable on NXT because, for the longest time, for about 3 years, it was all about the Undisputed Era. So now we have a new stable of new, fresh guys that are given a spotlight. So I don't hate it, but I don't hate it, but I don't love it. That's kind of the way I'll put it.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I just see those guys. I mean, Dunn has some credibility because he was NXT UK champ and he was a champ here at one point and wrestling in high profile NXT takeover matches. But McAfee, impressed during that one match with Adam Cole. He's a good mouthpiece. He's a good manager mouthpiece. Roddy Piper-ish type of heat seeker. But the other two guys, it would be like, I mean, I'm dating myself here and I don't even know if you remember who these guys are, but even back in the day, we had the Killer Bees, who weren't like a main event team, never got the World Tag Team titles, and they kind of just jobbed out to the Hart Foundation and jobbed out to Demolition and Strike Force and stuff like that. At one point, certain guys are not meant to be top guys. They're just not, and that's the argument I have with certain fans of other podcasts all the time who get on me and I'll get back at them. I'm like, not everybody gets a trophy. Not everyone's a top guy. Oh, this one deserves better. Tamina Snuka deserves better. Everybody deserves better. I deserve better. You deserve better. Sean deserves better. Maurice deserves better. Cal deserves better. Cress, I don't know if Cress deserves better. Trez deserves better. So I always laugh at all that stuff. Deserves better. It's like, are you their agent? Are you a fan or their publicist? They deserve better. Stop it. Stop saying that. I hope I never hear that again. COVID and they deserve it, I hope, are two things I never hear in 2021, 22. We should do away with those words. It's like the word extreme at one point. Everything's extreme. Like everything now is deserves. It's like, ugh. But again, I see them and Breezango in the main event. Quite honestly, I'm switching over to AEW. And guess what? I did switch over to AEW for 5 minutes. And I saw Eddie Kingston and the little troll guy. What's his name? The little wet hair guy with the big ears. What's that guy's name?
Pac.
The guy who WWE used to have. What's the guy's name? Pac.
Yeah, Pac.
And making like he was a big deal, like he came out like he was Ultimate Warrior or something. Give me a break. Another, guy who couldn't cut it in WWE. Come on. He's the little guy. He's like Ivan Putski of AEW. And Eddie Kingston, listen, Eddie Kingston's a New York guy, Yonkers guy. I know people who know him in real life. My friend Gary knows him personally. A nice guy, veteran, almost 40 years old is his dream. He doesn't have anything but wrestling, emotional, crying. But his body is for shit. And his look is caca, as DT would say. Expression. I still use things from my partner there. His look is, come on, indie-rific. And he's closing out AEW, this guy, because he could talk. I mean, that's where we're at right now, because he could talk. I guess that's why Pat McAfee was closing out NXT, because he could talk. Subpar wrestler, but he could talk. Eddie Kingston is not a very good wrestler. His body is not good. And his ring attire makes Kevin Owens look like he's wearing a tux, So I don't know about Eddie Kingston closing out AEW. I mean, really, is this guy that over? Are the Eddie Kingston shirts selling like head of the table Roman Reigns shirts? I'd like to see those stats, by the way. I get it that he's the Kevin Owens of AEW, the everyman, the husky guy who wears a shirt because he's not in good shape enough to take the shirt off. But how really is that a marquee value guy? And then you got and Drew, we can get into Kenny Omega and how corny and horrible he is if you want to.
Yeah. Here's the one thing about Kenny Omega. It's just every time he talks, it's like he's trying to sound cool or he's really trying not to, because you hear him talking, he's just like, I had this match with John Moxley in 2 weeks, and we're gonna have a really good wrestling match, and he's never beaten me in a wrestling match. We're 0-0. It's just I don't know it's because I'm listening to Jim Cornette too much, but it's just like this guy there's nothing cool about him. There really isn't. Like AJ Styles, AJ Styles at least sounds cool. Like when you hear him talk, he has some cadence and personality in his voice. Like when he's trying to be a heel, when he's trying to be a kind of like a lovable cocky face, he has some cadence in his voice. fuck it. I'll even say Seth Rollins sounds cooler than Kenny Omega. And, Kenny Omega he just sounds like every other, and I don't know why I'm saying this because I'm kind of in that category. He just sounds like a millennial. He just sounds like every other uninteresting millennial that thinks they're cool, but they're really not. Like the best way to put it is he looks like his voice is putting his face looks like his voice is putting his face to sleep.
And that hairstyle and his image and the girls coming out with the brooms. And I'm not just saying this. I'm a guy, right? Grizzled, middle-aged, tattooed up nightclub worker guy. I've seen tough guys, and I've seen guys who are like, who even walk in the club and like, oh God, I hope this guy doesn't start a fight. Who's going to step to that dude? I mean, even my bouncers even say, oh, geez, I hope this guy's cool. And, there's guys you could kind of spot. Cross looks like a guy like that. Undertaker looks like a guy like that. And even if they can't fight, they look like they can. And looking like you can fight is very helpful in a entertainment situation. I don't know if Clint Eastwood could beat up anybody, but I think he can in his heyday. Don't you? Don't you think Clint Eastwood was a tough guy in real life? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know if Clint Eastwood could throw a legitimate punch, but I think he can. Kenny Omega, Killer Cross, he's legitimately a badass. We've seen him train. We know what he can do. We know his background. But even if we didn't, he looks like he can. And in wrestling, the visual of that and the perception is much better than the facts. Because, again, it's what you're seeing on screen. I talked about in the Friday the 13th movie, Derek Mears looking like a badass Jason, that rebooted guy who played Jason far better than Kane Hodder. Derek Mears looks like a beast. And you see that, like, that's a dude. Oh, my God. Imagine that guy chasing you through the woods. And he might be 2 left feet. And you wouldn't even know it. But that image, like, woo. And that's what imagery, it's all about that in wrestling. It's imagery and talking ability and visual. Yes, if you can go in the ring, of course, that's important. Just talked about why Eddie Kingston's over, because he could talk. And Eddie Kingston kind of looks like a Yonkers Bronx type of guy. You can't tell if Eddie Kingston is Latin or he's Italian. You're not even sure what he is. You just know he's very New York. You know what I mean? So again, the perception, he looks tough. He looks like he can take care of business. Kenny Omega doesn't look like he can take care of anybody. He doesn't look like he can, he looks like he goes to the beauty parlor to get his hair done. That's not scary. That's not scary. That's not scary. Again, that's why even people online who see certain people's pictures like, I don't want to fuck with this guy. Then they'll see someone who looks like kind of a clown. Like, I could probably get over on this guy. Perception. That's what wrestling's all about. Kenny Omega comes out. Oh, here comes Kenny Omega. Oh, quiver. Who is quivering? Who's scared of the cleaner? Who's scared of him? Who? Where? Just like CM Punk. CM Punk didn't intimidate anybody. His 2 opponents beat the shit out of him because they're like, this guy he's not tough. He's wrestling tough. But in real life, Phil Brooks doesn't look like he could take anybody. I put my money on you, Drew, to beat up Phil Brooks, to be quite honest with you. I got 50 on you. Don't let me down, Drew. But again, it's perception. It's perception. People have seen me and said, people have seen me and said, I don't know if this guy can fight, but he looks like he can. So he's cool. So I'm not going to test it. I've broken up fights that way, not even having to do anything other than just imagery and say, I'm not sure about this guy. Again, it's all perception, and sometimes perception is better than the reality of things. Kenny Omega is not tough, and I challenge even JD's fan base. Like, what is tough about Kenny Omega? Name it. From image to vocal ability, because there's guys who could talk tough but don't look tough. But it helps if you look tough and have a cadence of toughness. You might not have to throw a punch if you could sell yourself as a tough guy. Like I said, Cross, great example. Kenny Omega, bad example. Night and day. Oh, Cross, Kenny Omega can wrestle circles around Killer Cross. If I'm a promoter, I'll put Cross as my guy more than fucking Kenny Omega. You know why? Because girls will want to bang Cross, guys will think he's cool, and kids will think he's a superhero. What girl's going to want to bang Kenny Omega? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
you can leave your wife with Kenny Omega for a week. He won't touch her.
Well, from what I hear, Kev, that's
Unless she was a young Japanese girl.
Kenny kind of plays for the other team, but yeah,
No, I don't know. Or with Japanese girls who were under 4'11" and 18 years old.
But yeah, it's just you brought up that certain name, which I'm not going to mention on the show, but we got into an argument about Kenny Omega, which his point was people need to be patient, A, B, C, and D, which my point was whatever Kenny had in Japan is not working here. I mean,
right.
'Cause you're going to have your hardcore Japanese fans who watched everything he did in Japan, who watched everything he did in Ring of Honor, who watched everything he did in blah blah blah. But Trez is asking, you guys argued and the Army didn't come after. Oh yeah, they came after me, and he made a point to retweet what I said, so his little bitch ass followers can talk shit. But anyways, that's another story. That's as far as I'll go with that story. But yeah, it's just like the point I'm making, which I thought was very clear and concise, which was whatever he had in Japan ain't working here, because AJ Styles, good point. AJ Styles, made his career away from the WWE. He was in Ring of Honor. He was in TNA for the longest time. Then he went to Japan and really made a name for himself, and came to WWE and was able to have two different types of followers, which is one being that hardcore independent Japan wrestling base, and have newer WWE fans. Whenever he debuted at the Rumble, he got a huge reaction, and then it the people who weren't too familiar with him in TNA became a lot more familiar with him because he made a name for himself in WWE. If Kenny Omega, and I agree with you when you say this, if Kenny Omega went to the WWE, it wouldn't have worked as well. Because it's also about personality, because, like what I was mentioning about AJ earlier, when you hear AJ talk, he sounds like a very easygoing, down-to-earth type of guy. He sounds like someone that you would actually want to hang out with. He plays video games. You want to play video games with him. You want to talk wrestling with him. Kenny Omega just kind of, and he kind of sounds like a dork.
Douchey, yeah.
Yeah, like a douchey dork. Like that's
douchey dork, exactly. Douchey dork.
Pretty much, and that should be the title of tonight's episode. Kenny Omega's a douchey dork. But it's just, again, I don't judge anyone who's a Kenny Omega fan. I'm just pointing out the facts. I'm just pointing out my opinion. But they're obviously going to put the title on him. I don't know if it's going to be on December 2nd or whenever. But he's just, again, what he had over in Japan, it's just not translating into the United States.
No, I agree with you. And again, that's someone's come back to me. Best wrestler in the world. That's what he is. I'm like, oh, please. And what is that? What that in the 50 cents will get you a bag of Funyuns. What is that going to do? Best. What is that? And first of all, that's select. Best wrestler in the world. Well, some people would say Lou Thez was the best wrestler in the world. Some people say Bob Backlund. Some people say, Steve Austin. I mean, that's random and select. That's official. Kenny Omega, best wrestler in the world. Accords to who? Dave Meltzer? That's, again, who I don't see that as official. Show me the official where that's like presidential seal of approval on that. Show it to me. Show me where it's certified. A notary republic. Show me something. You know what I mean? It's so random to say that, best wrestler in the world. I'm like, that's your comeback? It's like, dude, you're an idiot. I said Kenny Omega is the most uncool room in the guy, and the second group of uncool people are the people who follow him.
Yeah, exactly. He's just, you see him wrestle, and it's just like, I've seen that before. And I'm going back to AJ again. With AJ at one point was like that. When you saw AJ in TNA, you're like, yeah, we've seen this before. And also, AJ had said whenever he came to the WWE, Vince had said, we have guys like you. What exactly can you do? And AJ pretty much proved himself to Vince and proved himself to the WWE fans, and became, bigger than he ever was. With Kenny, Kenny. And it's also personality, because I think Jim Cornette touched base on this, that if Kenny went to the WWE, I think it would have been a clash of personalities because, it would have been a combination of they would have hated him and he would have hated him. Because they would have told him, try to do less of this and more of this. And that probably would have, struck a chord with them. It was like, well, why can't I do this?
True.
With AJ, they helped AJ prolong his career. And I think that's the one thing that people don't seem to understand about the WWE style of things, which is when you get to the WWE, they tell you less is more, so that way they can make sure you're able to walk when you're 40.
That's a good point. They're making an investment and having guys there for years. They want to make sure they can go the distance and not get hurt so early. Like Darby Allin is going to wind up one day being out for a fucking year. It's going to happen. You could see it coming. He's a slither away from being out injured for a year. And WWE, I would never go there. Hey, dude, they wouldn't tolerate your fucking recklessness. Let's call it again. If we're gonna have honesty and I listen to these podcasts, and God bless, I love Jason Solomon. I think he's the best in the business. I think me and him neck and neck, the best in the business. But he's great. But even I want to hear a podcast to say, Darby Allin is, he's popular. He's, they put the belt on him, they're putting the gas on him because fans really like him. He's very popular. Okay, but admit one thing. He's a little naive and he's too reckless and he's going to wind up getting hurt. And then that year that he's out, by the time he comes back, fans will have latched on to a new guy. Think about it. You know what I mean? Why do you think Cross is training so hard to come back? He knows, without giving too much away, he knows that he needs to not be away too long. Is he might be ready to go now? They might hold him off to the Royal Rumble. He might appear next month. We don't know. But he's posted. It's public. You've probably seen it. He's posted YouTube things now. He's almost ready to go. And he even said he didn't say anything about his health. He posted you can see it for yourself on his Instagram. He didn't answer any questions about his health until now, and it's still not directly talking about it, but he's showing people that he's training and he's looking good, he's feeling good, because he didn't want to hear stuff and he didn't want to go back and forth with people. He didn't want anything to get in his head. He didn't want to falsify anything. He didn't want to verify anything. He needed to just get away. That's why you saw him in the secluded beach that he went to. He actually got out of town and went away with Scarlett, and you saw him training in this facility of an undisclosed location. It looked like Florida, but actually it wasn't Florida. And he was getting himself ready, and now he's ready to put himself out there a little more publicly. If you see Drew, little by little, he's posting more and more. And, he's not saying when, but you're like, he can come back at any time now. And that generates excitement, and he's in the spotlight, and people haven't forgotten about him. And he knew he's hot. He's got to come back sooner than later. And that's what he's doing. But if he had a major, major injury caused by his own recklessness, which Darby Allin is doing, he could be out for a year, and that could be, his career's not over. He can always come back and get a push. But, that's a long time to be out. And I think Darby Allin ever breaks his fibia or his tibia or really gets a bad leg injury, from his style, it looks like he's going to wind up hurting his back or his leg. And he could be out a fucking year. And by the time he comes back, it could be a whole brand new AEW. And a young wrestler can't afford to do that. And that's why it's funny when they go, I'd never go to the WWE. Hey, dude, they wouldn't take you anyway because they ain't going to let you do this shit because they're trying to help you. You think they're holding you back. And what they're doing, ignorant young man, is they're trying to help you. And again, the young fans like, oh, WWE holding them down. No, they're trying to keep them healthy so they have an investment, and their investment pays off. Why does nobody get that, Drew?
It's like, it's like what I said about Moxley, the other night after the pay-per-view, which is, John Moxley, left the WWE, made good money, was able to, do safer shit, leaves the WWE because they're not letting him do his, shtick, comes AEW, does stupid hardcore indie shit. Right. And, Jim Cornette, made an interesting point about him. And I'm going to quote Jim Cornette a lot. And, he said, John Moxley went to the WWE, the biggest wrestling company in the world. Not just the world, the universe, the whole world. And learned nothing. Learned absolutely nothing. Still doing stupid indie shit. Which, I don't get it. Like, I don't get how you go from being, from in the penthouse to the outhouse, and you still learn nothing. Or, I'm sorry, the outhouse to the penthouse, and you still learn nothing. And I don't really get it. And also harping back to what I said about, what Joey said about Darby Allin, Joey just simply saying, I think Darby just needs to cool it with these spots because he's going to hurt himself. I think he's very talented. I don't want him to break his neck. And he literally got death threats for just saying he thinks Darby Allin needs to slow down with the stunts.
Yeah.
One of these days, these guys are going to realize, that they're not even 30 yet, especially Darby Allin. He's one of these days he's going to realize I'm barely 30 and I can't even walk.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Mick Foley days and jumping off, I thought that was over in general. They're doing the more protective chair shots now, even though the chair shots little close, in my opinion. Some of them they take it mostly on the back. I get that. No shots to the head. But still, it's a chair could easily slip, and we saw what happened with Sami Callihan a year ago in Impact when he hit Eddie Edwards with a chair. So again, things can happen, accidents can happen. But again, again, when you're against something, you want to believe the worst of them. So that's why it's funny. People who are anti-WWE, and believe me, most of the time I do it for fun. I'll go in JD's chat room, or I'll go in, and I'm there as Kevin Castle, by the way. I'm not hiding. I'm me. People even say, "Is that Kevin Castle from DTKC?" I'm like, "Yep, it's me." And I'll go in there and I'll say, something inflammatory, not on purpose, but someone's talking nonsense. Well, thank God Kenny Omega didn't sign with WWE because they would have. I'm like, Kenny Omega wouldn't have done dick in WWE. It wasn't a good business investment for them to sign him. He's not, wouldn't do anything. He would never be the face of WWE because he looks like shit. Visually, he looks like shit. WWE is not going to make him the face of anything. I'd go with Cross or fucking Reigns all day long over Kenny Omega. Teenage girls having posters of Kenny Omega on their wall. The fuck out of here. Even little kids. Oh, it's my Kenny Omega action figure, Daddy. You told me you'd get it for when I turned 7, I was going to get my Kenny. I can't even picture anybody saying that. Do you know what I mean, Drew? Do you know what I mean? Again, kids have to think they're a superhero. Girls got to want to say, oh, man, this guy's a man. And guys got to be like, this guy's cool. You have to have that trifecta to be the ultimate star in wrestling. You absolutely have to. They could say, well, women like Hulk Hogan, believe it or not, they did. Back in his early days, they did.
Right, yeah.
And you don't think women liked Ultimate Warrior? They did. Mm-hmm. Sting? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Steve Austin? Fuck yeah. Rock all over the place. Name all those top guys.
Triple H.
The big Triple H, too. Trez like Triple H. I don't know that way, but she was a big Triple H fan. And, again, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, keep going on and on and on even CM Punk to a degree. So again, Kurt Angle. My cousin was in love with Kurt Angle. She had posters of Kurt Angle all over a wall.
Jeff Hardy.
So he was the handsomest. But Jeff Hardy, again,
no lie. Back in high school, almost all the goth, punk rock girls, they love Jeff Hardy. They would say, they would say, I'm not big into wrestling, but Jeff Hardy's one of my favorites, and he's so fucking hot. I like his style. Blah blah blah. It's no lie.
No. But let me clarify, because Trez is saying she didn't like those guys sexually. But but the majority of girls thought they were, hot. Just like guys. Oh, I like Trish Stratus's wrestling. Do you think she's hot? Oh, fuck yeah, I think she's hot. So how many guys would say that? Lita. Oh, I like Lita's moonsaults and fuck. But what about her as a woman if you could date her? Oh, fuck yeah. That's the normal reaction of most fans. Of course there's an appeal. You don't have to say you got to bang them, but you could say, I can romantically, I'd love a man or a woman like that. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And most people do that. My friend Baseball Chickie, she's the biggest Mike Piazza fan you could find. She doesn't do anything with him, but she thinks he's the handsomest guy in the world. But she's a fan. She's not, again, there's different degrees, but as the opposite sex, of course, that appeal is there. That's why you would have a post or a picture. Oh, on my phone, I have this picture. Well, obviously you want an attractive person to look at. Not too many people. How many people have a picture of Mick Foley shirtless on their phone? You know what I mean? It's again, it's degrees of
I don't even think his wife has a picture of that.
My friend Elena is the hottest girl I know, the biggest Undertaker fan. She thinks Mark Calloway, if she could marry somebody, oh my God, that would be her guy. That's her type. Oh my God. For 20 years, I've heard her talk about Undertaker. That's a man. Again, everyone's got their preference, but when you're a fan, you like everything about them, and there's nothing wrong with saying that they're a good-looking person. You don't have to be like throwing kisses at them. I'm not talking about like little kids, like teenage girls. I'm talking about older people. But again, there has to be that overall appeal where everything about them is just great. They're great. They talk. I'm mesmerized. They have my attention. That's, you're the ultimate fan. There's a big difference between being a fan and a groupie. You know what I mean? The big difference. But there's that too. There's that aspect too. But when you are captivate someone's interest, they're going to go to the hill to defend you on everything. So that's why I think it's funny that these heterosexual male fans go to the hill to defend Kenny Omega. Almost, I'm starting to think, I don't know but what is the appeal of that guy? I get the appeal of a young Shawn Michaels. I get the appeal of Karrion Kross. I get the appeal of a young Undertaker. I get the appeal of Ultimate Warrior's Prime. I get it. The guy looks like he came off a comic book. I know he looks like a superhero. That's the whole thing. He looks like a star. People want people to look like a star. And that's everyone. Oh, everyone wants the average man. No one wants a poster of Kevin Owens on their wall. Stop it. Only some real markish, lonely basement guy is going to have Kevin Owens posters all over his wall. That's why you don't make that guy the face of your company. Oh, his shirt sold pretty good. Well, guess what? Roman Reigns shirts are selling by the thousands. He's the right guy. Trust me. That's why they kept him, and that's why they turned him heel, and that's why he's the hottest thing in wrestling right now. And that's why 50% of Roman Reigns haters are like, I kind of like him now. I'm actually a fan. I actually bought his new shirt. And I'm like, knew it. I knew it. And that's why everyone's like, oh, Kev, you feel like justified now because defend him all these years? I'm like, nah, because again, I'm a wrestling guy. I know the business to a degree. I knew that he wasn't hired because he was Rock's cousin. They saw something in this guy, and they said, let's make a long-term investment in this guy. And it's paying off now. And it's not just because of Paul Heyman, it's because of him. Because quite honestly, if anybody's paying attention to the interviews, Paul Heyman barely talks. You notice that, Drew, in the interviews with Roman Reigns? Paul Heyman barely says a word. He just stands there. Paul was on a radio show about 2 weeks ago on a podcast and said, when I said that I'm a Roman Reigns guy, he's not a Paul Heyman guy, that's a shoot. He goes, I'm letting Roman, stand back and let him do his thing. And he's doing fine. He doesn't need me to interfere and take the mic like with Brock. I had to do most of the talking. He's doing a fine job. And he goes, I'm good for me. I don't have to scream and yell all the time. And that's the ultimate thing, because eventually he will break up with Heyman. Maybe Heyman will go babyface and get a babyface Brock Lesnar to fight Roman Reigns. That could happen. Remember, Brock was a babyface at one point before. So, and Reigns will be able to be fine on his own without Paul. So they're already testing. Can Roman hang on the mic without Paul, and Paul just step back and stand in the corner? Yeah. And people are loving it. People are not like, let Paul talk. I haven't seen anybody say that yet, by the way. Have you seen anybody say that yet? Reigns is talking too much. Let Paul talk.
Yeah, Reigns is no question is doing the best work in his career.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is something that's a long time coming because Reigns can be a face, but I've always said the best way to push Roman is push him like Wolverine from the X-Men, have him talk less and just beat the shit out of people. Because that's the kind of Roman that people want to see, and not, what they were trying to do with Roman before and make him into, the John Cena babyface, which the only person who should be a John Cena babyface is, you guessed it, John Cena. So, Roman, if you're going to push him as a face, let him be a badass face. But at this point, he's better as a heel. And I like him as a heel. Eventually he's going to be a face, but I like him. I like his work now. I thoroughly enjoy it. He's, without a doubt, one of the better parts of the current product, of the current, main roster product.
He's definitely better as a, and he'll be a heel for a while. People don't have to worry. Oh, I hope by WrestleMania. Nah, he's going to be a heel for a couple of years, actually, from what I understand. So yeah, he's not going to be a babyface anytime soon. So people don't have to worry. It's a blip on the radar. It's going to be a long run. It could go for a couple of years. Remember, even when Michaels was babyface, Kurt Angle, then they turned heel. It'll be for a few years, and then they turn back eventually. But that shit stretched on. They're not in the short term. I think, to me, the future of this company, in my opinion, is Roman Reigns, Karrion Kross, Adam Cole, and I would probably say those three to me are the main three guys. Reigns already established with Kross and Cole coming up the rear as young guys, stars of tomorrow. I wanted to have more faith in Damian Priest. I don't as much anymore. Keith Lee, same thing too. Keith Lee talks like a buffoon. I don't like his candor. Draper was talking about it too. Me and my brother like, what's with this Bill Bixby Hulk Marvel comic nonsensical talk? Let me tell you something, Randy. The way I feel about the situation, I'm like, dude, stop talking like that. And before anybody says WWE's telling them to talk like that, I don't think they are. I think that he thinks that this is the way to talk. He talks like it talks like he's like a scripted cartoon character, and that's not going to get you over. You know, I don't believe WWE's telling him to talk like that. I think he thinks he has to talk like that. WWE might tell you how to do something, but they don't tell you how to talk in your promo. Because Kross hasn't changed his methodical speaking. He hasn't changed at all. Adam Cole sounds free and easy. AJ Styles. Why would they tell Keith Lee how to talk? You know, do you understand what I'm talking about with Keith Lee's promos? They're cringe, dude. When they give him the mic, I'm like, oh, God. I was like, God, please stop talking. You know, it's bad. Like so Keith Lee's bad right now. I have no faith in Keith Lee right now.
It's just one thing about Keith. I'm a fan of Keith Lee. I like him, but it's just like, you know, the best way. You know, I'm stammering, but like, you know, the best way to describe Keith Lee looks like the Hulk, talks like Bruce Banner, like he. Yeah. You know, he just I don't know. Like again, you put out a really good point where it's just like, is WWE really telling him to go out there and talk like he has a top hat and a cane? Like I'm not expecting him to do the stereotypical, you know, hey motherfucker, let me tell you something. Like I'm not expecting him to do that. What I am expecting him is to talk like he's a badass. Like you look like a badass, talk like a badass. Talk like somebody that when I see you, like going back to what you said,
right?
I'm supposed to see Keith Lee and go, this guy can fuck me up, but I hear him talk like, you know, it's like when you see him walking into a bar, you're like, oh, you don't want to fuck with this guy, but then you hear him talk like, oh, I'll order a white wine spritzer. It's like, what?
That's what he sounds like. I know. It's like, what is that for? It's like is that your ordering restaurant voice? What is that? Is that your be nice to the waiter voice? Again, what is that? I'm glad that we brought it up and we just segued naturally, but it did, you know, play into what I said earlier about perception. Absolutely. In wrestling is everything. I think once you hear Keith Lee talk, you're like, I joked a few times, if you ever heard old DTKC episodes where we talked about Family Guy, and there's the clip of, Robert Mitchum as a cartoon character in the bar, and he goes,
yes,
you guy," and he takes off his shirt, and the guys at first were intimidated, but he was wearing his pants so high, and then when he spoke, they're like, are we supposed to be afraid of him? I'm not sure. It's like, you know, now I'm not afraid of him. So again, it's like, okay, this guy, Robert Mitchum, just came up to him, and now he just opened his mouth and started talking like, I don't know if we're actually afraid of you. And that's we joked about it, and I said, yeah, that was the how you didn't have to fight back in the day, is you're like, you boys have got a problem, and not a punch would be thrown, because the guys who had a problem might be like, I don't want to fuck with this dude. And I think Keith Lee, the same thing. Wow, he's thick. He's a 300-pound big boy, but he's talking kind of like, but then again, who had the most wimpy voice and was one of the baddest men on the planet? Mike Tyson, right? Back in the day, Mike Tyson. Look at the way Mike Tyson used to talk, with that lisp and that kind of mamby-pamby voice. But so you learn not to judge a book by the cover. Well, Mike Tyson's very rare. But for the most part, if you're, you know, in a situation, the guy is overly calm or overly, you know, talking almost like in a comical way, it's usually, hopefully he's trying to diffuse the situation, but Keith Lee is in a fight. So why is he talking like that? You know what I mean? Where's the passion? Where's the intensity? It tunes me out. And people could say, WWE, it's their fault. Is he fighting for his character? Why is Karrion Kross, told me personally, personally, and I even asked him, I won't talk about certain things on shows, but can I say this on your behalf? That Triple H and William Regal and stuff have never told him to not do something that he thought was good for his character and said, I want to do this. It keeps me strong. Do it. Yep. Say it just like that. That's great. Never did he say, well, yeah, you got to look like a killer, absolutely. So if you're a strong character, I can't picture them saying, no. Talk like you don't give a fuck. Talk like, devil may care, la-di-da. I can't picture them saying that. He's Keith Lee. He's, what's his gimmick? What's his nickname? Keith Lee, what do they call him? A Limitless, right? Yeah. Well, he's limited in promos, so he's not limitless. so it's like, again, I can't picture that. Cross says they have never nixed one time. Me and Scarlett coming up with something. Scarlett wanting to bite at people when she looked into the camera and going like that. They're like, yeah, do that. So again, he says he doesn't know who gets told no or what, but for him, it has not been that experience at all in WWE. They want you to be a strong character. He does not see them saying, no, don't do that. Talk like this. He said he has not experienced that at all. And why would Keith Lee be treated different? Again, and Keith Lee's on the main roster, by the way. So, you know what I mean? You would think in NXT they would tell you what to do, not so much on the main roster.
Yeah, and, it brings up a good point. This is kind of coinciding with what Sean just asked, why was Keith good in NXT, but on the main roster? This is kind of answering both questions. You'd said, Cross, never really had a problem with, getting an opinion or getting a request set of.
No, I said not one time. He was never told no and never told to tone it down or talk like this. Not one time.
And that kind of makes me think about Keith, where it's like the problem, people always had with Keith in NXT, which was, very good in the ring, likable guy, but bad on promos because again he just has a very soft voice. Like how are you guys doing tonight? I want to wrestle you. I would like to wrestle you, and then maybe we can go out afterwards. And on the main roster, it just seems like it's gotten worse. And
it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. Randy Orton has crossed the line with me. I'm like, oh my God, dude, you sound like a douche. Like I can't. I want to believe in you, but I don't. And I blame creative all you want. Maybe you just don't have it, and maybe you shouldn't talk. And maybe they should get you a fucking manager. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like best idea: turn him heel, put him with the Hurt Business, and let MVP do the talking.
Very good idea. Look what they did that with Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah, like that's the best. And I want Keith Lee to excel. I want him to get better. But again, he is in painful need of a mouthpiece.
Yes, he is.
Again, and I don't even think this was my idea. I think this might have been RJ's idea from the Savage show. RJ, shout out to RJ.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool guy.
Yeah, make him a heel, put him with MVP. That seems like that might be the best thing for Keith Lee right now.
Yeah, why not? That'll look what they've done. It done wonders for Roman. Sometimes that turn does nothing. Sometimes it does wonders. People are worried about Adam Cole turning babyface. Oh my God! But maybe it'll again. You get a little stale after a while. It's same old, same old. And he doesn't have to stop pointing to himself. And the Adam Cole baby can continue when crowds come back and stuff and pointing to himself like Rob Van Dam. It's very similar, isn't it? Pointing to yourself and getting the crowd. You don't have to be a heel to do that. So again, I don't think Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole could be the next Shawn Michaels, in my opinion. Except he won't have to go find his smile at some point. Hopefully, imagine Adam Cole has to go find his smile.
Hey, that was legit. Okay, he was legitimately hurt. Anyways, but
he was legitimately had his ass handed to him in a bar. Legitimately, yeah.
Yeah, Adam Cole. Love Adam Cole. Elephant in the room. He needs to put on a little muscle. I'm not saying look freakishly big, but just put some muscle on.
He does, and I think again when people that's so ignorant of WWE and AEW, he'd be. It's like, first of all, how many titles does AEW? You ever notice AEW fans? Everybody in AEW would be the champion. How many belts do they have that everybody can be the champion? You ever notice that? They can go with Miro. Miro's never going to be the world champion. He's all right. He's a video game mid-carder. That's what he is there. Guess what? He was better off here in angles with Bobby Lashley. At least he got better TV time. So again, I shake my head at some of these guys. I'm like, you don't know wrestling. It's not. Do I know more than you? Yes. because it's just ridiculous for you to think that all the time, all you need is a change of scenery. It's all about, the people in the back believe in you, but it's the overall believability. Again, perception. Is Miro really world champion material? No, he's not. Mm-mm. He's one notch above Nikolai Volkov. He's Taz a little bit larger, but Taz at least had the tough guy talk down pat. Miro has decided that he's very jokey now. He's very silly. I'm a silly guy. Go on my YouTube channel and watch me be silly. Again, do you see Karrion Kross do that? Nope, because he's keeping his image. Go look across his thing. See if he's yucking it up with you and slapping himself in the head and sticking his tongue out like a buffoon. He knows what his character is. He's not going to fuck with his character. And same thing with Reigns. Reigns is staying in character now on Twitter, on interviews. He's keeping that scowl. He's keeping that stare look. He's doing his thing because he cannot let this get fucked up. Miro doesn't know who he is. That's the fucking problem. He doesn't know who he is. He just wants to blame everybody for his shortcomings. Stick him with, what's his name? Ford's boyfriend, fiance. Put him with that. That's a company that just wanted a guy, sign him. We don't know what we're going to do with him. That's, again, he didn't come in like gangbusters. So, again, there's a perception of everybody. And it's not that I'm a hater. I just know wrestling. I just kind of know the business. And I could tell. Day one, I saw Ultimate Warrior come in as Dingo Warrior in a dark match. Me and Draper are like, this guy's going to be big time here. We just knew it. We knew it from when he was in Texas. We're like, this guy is not going to come here and be some opening match guy. And lo and behold, a year later, we're at SummerSlam 88, going crazy at the arena, and the roof is blown off the place. You could tell, and if you're a real experienced wrestling fan, you could tell who's going to be big. Forget that Cross knows me and DT. He's a whole fan. He's our friend. Forget all that. I don't know him for a minute of the day. I never met him. I don't know him. I never spoke to him. I just know him from wrestling. I see this character. I see that entrance, and I see him, and I see Scarlett, and I'm like, nah, this guy's got it. Forget anything. I don't know a thing about him, but I see what he's doing, and I'm watching his development. I'm like, this dude's money. There's no doubt. How could you not say that? This dude's money. You see it, you saw. I know you're a big fan too, but you're a fan not because you're like, oh, he's a friend of he's podcast friendly and fan friendly. That's great. That's great. He doesn't forget where he comes from, but he's got it. You got to see it, because people will say, oh, you just cheer him on because you guys are friends of him. Bullshit. The guy's got it. I love wrestling, and he's a major player, and I'm fucking excited because there's another guy I could root for and not feel like a dick for doing it. You know what I mean? I don't have to feel like a dick putting on a Karrion Kross shirt because he's some jobber 3 months from now. Like what happened to Elias. Elias is an embarrassment right now. You know what a fan I was of him 2 years ago? And now I can't even believe I had any faith in him. Do I blame WWE? No, I also blame him for getting injured 3 times in the last 2 years. He's injury prone,
Yeah, I get you. I mean, Truz made a good point about Cross and Scarlett. They're not just good, and they're not just top stars in wrestling. They're marketable. Right. Cross is, you took the words out of my mouth. Cross is somebody that could be in a superhero movie. And, coincidentally, he wants to be in a superhero movie. Scarlett, again, another, like the best thing I've said about, the best way I've described Charlotte is she's insanely beautiful to the point where it almost makes you uncomfortable. Like she looks like very, almost like a throwback to women from back in the day to a little bit modern now. And I say this in the nicest way. She almost has like porn star good looks.
Who, Scarlett?
Yes.
I know you mean.
She's just an insanely beautiful woman, and she's also talented. Like, she can also go in there and work. She can talk. Could talk too, yeah. She has a good personality. She's not just a pretty face. She's also very talented. Same thing with Cross. Good-looking guy, can talk, can work. And
charming and scary. It's hard to mix up charming and scary, isn't it?
Yeah, because like you see him on social media, and he just is a nice guy. He's a super nice guy. I'm pretty sure he's, you know him better than me. I'm pretty sure he's not nice all the time. but he's a nice guy.
No, exactly. And again, but he's also a guy that even like the troll people, you don't see him messed around with too much on that. On occasion, you'll see it, and he'll psychologically dissect them in his retort. Because even my brother's like, Cross shouldn't even bother at this point at the level he's at to even reply to a troll. Why does he bother? Because even Draper said, yeah, but I said, yeah, but do you see how he handled that guy? He's like, oh, no. What he said was like brilliant. Like he psychologically dismantled that dude. He goes, but he shouldn't even respond. Because I agree with my brother to a degree. I think once you get into a certain level, be fan friendly, but do not reply to cartoon emojis and people who are not real accounts. That's kind of a waste of time. I agree with that. And he doesn't do it really a lot anymore at all. But he has very few trolls, but occasionally, oh, you'll be jobbing. Watch, when you come back, you'll lose your push. And again, he admits it'll get under his feather. And he's like, but if someone created an account just to talk shit to me, for some reason I'm living in their head rent free, and I don't know who the fuck they are. You know, he said one time to me, it could be someone on the NXT roster. I don't know who it is, right? He doesn't know who it is. You know, he goes, it's a fucking blank picture and a fucking fake profile. So it's like the guy's so afraid that he doesn't even put the town that he's from in the profile. That's what my brother was giving it to some troll one time. My brother's like, just admit you're afraid. Just admit you're a coward, and I'll interact with you. Like, go ahead, just admit you're a pussy. Just say it, and then I'll let you talk shit to me. And again, my brother's got the psychological dissecting trolls down pat too. Because you know, I think the days of, well, fuck you, blocked, whatever, that's too simple. I think, you know, psychologically dismantling them and almost frustrating them on the other side of the computer, where it's like, just admit you're a coward. And they're probably like, oh, this is not going the way I thought it was going to go, right? I thought I was just going to talk shit to this guy and he was going to block me, and I can go brag that Karrion Kross blocked me. But first of all, douchebag, why would you want to say that you got Karrion Kross to block you? If you were a fan, then why don't you want him to do well? Yeah, you know, and again, Drew, explaining the mental defectives in the wrestling community is like, come on, you know what I mean? There's a lot, again, we're a nice community, but there's a lot of loose screws in our community. You know that, Drew. Everybody on this chat right now knows there's a lot of psychos amongst our midst. You know what I mean? That's why, you know, when someone has a bad interaction with someone online in the wrestling community, that should be no surprise. That should be no surprise. It's as bad as in the political community. You know that, Drew. You yourself experienced it, you told me. You said something, and the minions came out to get you. And most of them were not even real people. I bet half of them didn't even have a real name.
Yeah, it made me laugh. It didn't even make me angry when they were, like, you know, taking shots at me. It just kind of made me laugh. I'm like, all right. It's like when that one asshole was like, who the hell's ever heard of the Drew Yari show? I'm like, well, Wrestling Soup did, because they put me on their network, so...
Right, and I'm on it right now. The highest rated Drew Yari episode in the last 15 years of this program.
Yeah, we're about to AEW. AEW who? We're about to pass those fuckers up in the ratings. So anyway,
Trez lives for fucking around with trolls, so you can tag her in next time.
Oh yeah. Next time Trez, I'm just gonna tag you in. Be like, get him, Trez. Get him.
Yeah, go get him. But yeah, I think that's a good way, like to again, because they are afraid, and I think you saying, dude, you're not a real person. I said it to someone the other day who was, I don't know what they were mad at me about, something stupid, and I said, you're not even a real person, so what am I even discussing with you? You're not even real. I go, you're so afraid that you don't even put New York City. New York is 9 million people. I'm never going to be able to find out who you are, so at least tell me where you're from if you're not going to tell me who you are. You know, make up a city. Can't you say you're from Arizona? You're so afraid and so fucking a coward that you have not one reality in your profile. Not one fucking thing. Not even initial of your first name. That's how undercover you want to be. So what value do you think you have? And what I can tell you is I'll psychologically profile you. You're not heard at home. You're an outcast in your own family. And this is the only place you could vet your frustrations. I could profile you all day long, and I guarantee if the FBI goes, hey, Kev, here's a picture of the guy who was talking shit to you, I'd be like, yep, exactly what I thought he looks like. He's not going to be some guy, oh, wow, this guy looks like a young Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? It's be like, this guy looks exactly, unemployed, lives at home, basement apartment. I'd be like, yep, that's the guy. That's our man. And again, it's almost like classic. It's classic at this point. You know, now, granted, there could be people who, for some sick thrill, who are normal everyday people, open up troll accounts and secondary accounts that shit talk. Now, again, it's kind of a cowardly thing because you're still hiding in the cover of night. So I don't really. What do you get out of that? I'm not in their head, but I don't know. I couldn't jerk myself off to that whole. Oh, I told him off. I don't have the balls to tell Don Tony or go have a debate with JD or Jason Solo Monster. So I'm going to go on a fake account and say something to him. No. Kevin Castle is going to tell you straight up. There's no way I would do that. I would want to out myself and say, I have a confession to make, guys. I'm just a fucking coward. That was me that who did that. Like, I just couldn't do that. It's just not my style. If I have something, and believe me, I've gone into the Lion's Den myself, Drew. I've gone on JD's chat, which is an ugly place sometimes, by the way. I've gone on Jason's wall. I've gone on Conrad's wall, and I've interjected some stuff. Granted, I kept it light and put some ha-has there, but I was serious when I trashed Kenny Omega. I knew the replies that I could have got, and sometimes it's not bad, and sometimes I'll get the typical thing. Oh, dude, you're like 50 years old. What do you know? I'm like, and again, old enough to fuck your mother. And I'll say that. Oh, dude. And it'd be like, again, who told you, who's talking to you? I was talking to Conrad. I'm not talking to you. I replied to Conrad. I didn't reply to you. Who are you? What are you, Conrad's boy? And that's funny because sometimes and this happens with podcasters, give you guys a little intel here. Certain bigger podcasters, if you get shit from their fan base, they won't publicly lambast their fan base on the wall. But I can tell you, I've gotten private messages from Conrad, JD, Jason Solomonster, apologizing to me for some of the ways their fan bases talked. And they even said, I blocked that guy, or, dude, don't even pay attention to that dude who's shit talking you. He's a problem. Again, I've gotten apologies from every podcaster when I had a problem on their wall. So don't think that they're, oh, yeah, cool. That podcast is the enemy. They don't want any problems with other people who can cause them a problem. So they always try and smooth it over on a private message that you don't see. You know what I'm saying? So just so you know, it's not what you think it is. It's not like they're encouraging their fan base. If anything, they like that other podcasters will put them over. They don't want heat with other podcasters because the podcaster's worst nightmare is another podcaster blasting his fans or blasting his show and making like his fan base is a bunch of fucking retards. So again, everybody wants to be cool with each other. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I can't even tell you how many times they wrote to me and said, dude, sorry about that thing that happened. I'm like, it's not your fault. I don't even worry about it. I wasn't even worried about it. So it's all good, So Drew, as you get, the same thing too. It kind of depends on who you are too in the scene. You know what I mean? Because they fuck with people they think they can fuck with, and then they'll try and ice it over with people they think they need to make friends with. You know what I mean? They kind of, it's it depends on its levels. It's levels like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate that I haven't attracted that type of toxicity. I'm pretty sure I will down the line. I mean, it kind of happened recently. I'm not gonna say who it is, but like literally the first episode I did back, doing live on here when I had RJ on the show, I, said at the time I'm not going to review AEW, just can't, and one of the listeners, again, I'm not going to say who it is, I don't want to put him on blast, but he was saying, but while reviewing, one of the pay-per-views, which I think was Hell in a Cell, and then, the Halloween Havoc, this guy gets on and says, hey, can we hurry up and start talking about AEW? And I just told him, well, I'm not going to review it. And he said, okay. That sucks. And then he just gets off the show, which I'm just like, okay, well, sorry, but not my problem.
But that's not so bad. He didn't call you names and curse you out, right?
Yeah, but it was just kind of like that whole thing of, okay, can we talk about what I want to talk about? It's like, do you see on the marquee where it says your name? No, it says Drew Yari, motherfucker. So, but
exactly. Well, goes back to what I told you earlier. No one should tell anybody how to control their show. Anybody, if you're doing something, you're obviously the appeal on the show, and I think at this point, anybody who has, unless they're brand new and they're starting to get to know who you are, people know what to expect when they tune into a certain show anyway. So I think it's, someone's trying to change you. It's like, and again, are any of us so desperate that we need that one or two people who don't like it anymore? It's like, all right, again, I don't like the show anymore. I'm going to go to something else. All right, thanks for stopping by. What are you going to say? What are you going to beg for them to stay? What is it, a relationship? You having sexual relations? You know what I mean? How much of a Patreon are they? $100 a month Patreon? I mean, come on. Again, that's why I said reality here. Let's not be so delusional. I remember one time a Patreon quit. I'm going to tell everybody to quit the show. I'm like, no one even knows who you are. I think I was telling Sean this. Sean, you remember a year ago, Sean's on the thread. There was some guy who was like saying, and you're like, I have no idea who that is. No idea. And I went to everybody. I went to every like regular in the chat. Nobody knew who this person was at all. Never heard of him. Mitch didn't know who it was. So he's like, oh, wait till I'm like, no one even knows who you are, dude. Here's your $2 back. Go get goodbye. Seriously. I mean, again, why do you join a page if you have such a propensity to get upset at the drop of a hat and you don't like topics, or you clearly, if you're a new fan, I suggest you probably listen to mainstream shows to kind of see what each one of us are about. Follow us on Twitter. You kind of know what to expect. But to think you're going to control the narrative of a show that's just a freestyle show is ridiculous. And I think the same thing with your show. You're doing your show. You don't want to listen. You want to appeal to as many people as possible, but you can't please everybody. And it's, again, there's no such thing as appealing to everybody. Every podcaster has faced the reality of losing Patreons, losing fans, gaining fans, dip in, dip out. I used to listen to that show, haven't listened to it in a long time. You move on, you just hope that one replaces another. Someone dips in, same thing in Patreon. Lose 5, gain 10, lose 15, gain 8. It's just the way it is. I don't, people freaking out over it perplexes me. But, again, you're just doing a show. Your show is your show is formatted to a degree, but you don't put on, like I noticed, like what you put on Twitter when you plug a show. You don't put a formatted, tonight we talk about AEW, this, that, where people hold you to that and say, well, wait a minute, you didn't talk about what you said you advertised. They're not saying, you don't do that, right? You just say topics you're going to touch upon. Are you putting up advertising what you're going to talk about, and then someone will say, like you said, the guy said, I want to talk about AEW. Was he under the impression that you were going to talk about AEW?
Okay, well, like, as far as, like, for what I, put on the topics, if I'm with a guest, like I just put with you, I just said, hey, Kevin Castle's going to be on the show, it's going to be fun, A, B, C, and D. If it's just me, I always make it an effort to say, tonight I'm going to talk about AEW and talk about NXT. That particular show, I had RJ on, and I said RJ's going to be on the show. We're going to talk about Halloween Havoc and Hell in a Cell. In that post, I did not put AEW. And I even said at the beginning of the show, we're not talking. Matter of fact, the week before, when I came back to doing, Discord live shows, and right. I even said, I'm not going to watch AEW at the point. And eventually I came back because, as a podcaster, I kind of feel like I have to watch AEW, even though it pains me. But, I said I'm not going to watch AEW after that stupid, dinner skit, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And the very next week, that one guy was like, well, can we talk about AEW already? It's like, we're not talking about AEW, dude. I even said at the beginning of the show, matter of fact, I said last week when you were there that I'm not going to talk about AEW. So I don't know if he was doing that sarcastically. I don't know if he was being dead serious, but his reaction seemed like he was dead serious. So it's just like, well, dude, I said it twice, so that's your fault for not listening.
Yeah, again, I have sometimes, my bad, talked about, like one time, like recently, I think someone said to me, because they were, you talked about, you're going to talk about Randy Orton with the tattoo thing, and you never brought, and I'm like, you're right, I missed it. I did skip over that. I didn't talk about it. But the guy didn't make a big deal of it because, I kind of wanted to hear your opinion on that. I'm like, all right, I'll try and cover it another time, whatever. But he was right. I did say I was going to talk about that, and at the beginning of the show, and I got into something else, or I spent a lot of time on questions, which is bullshit that I spend 30 seconds on questions that somebody who we will not mention said that I did, which is the biggest bunch of bullshit you've ever heard in your life amongst other bullshit that you hear. You listen to my show. Drew, do I spend 10 seconds on questions?
No, like you really go above and beyond to really answer these questions.
Exactly. I just, again, you could smell the bullshit. Again, it's just so trivial. It's beyond words. But, that was one particular situation where I said, next week or whatever, I'll talk about it, or I'll talk about it on another show, or whatever. And I said it was just something I came up with. It wasn't a question by anybody. It was a topic that I said I was going to talk about, but no one asked the question about it. But one person's like, "Oh, I remember you talking about it. I wanted to get your opinion on it." And someone will take that and say, "Oh, I purposely didn't." I'm like, it wasn't even a question. It was my idea. I basically poo-pooed my idea, not somebody else's idea. It wasn't a question from a VIP or anything. It was something someone was paying attention. I thought it just went over everybody's head because only one person, I wouldn't say complained about it. I would just say, mention that I missed talking about it. Complained is, that was fucked up. I mean, again, wrestling fans could be the coolest, or they could be the most overly sensitive, dainty flowers that you've ever seen in your life. Again, I won't say who it is. I won't mention who it is because I've made about 40 of these phone calls. Drew, the calls I was making on the Fridays, the Friday phone calls. You were one of them. Sean was one of them. Trez was one of them one time. One particular guy, and every call went great. I'll say 99.9%. But I remember, and I might have even told you this, Drew. I never told this. And again, no name was mentioned. No one will ever be able to figure out anyway. It was a fan of the show. I think he's still a fan of the show. I don't see him that often in the chat anymore. And I'm on the phone an hour and 15 minutes with him, and I gotta go. I gotta go. I got my friend calling me on the other line, and the guy says to me, and I quote, "That's it." That's it. That's it. I gave this motherfucker an hour and 15 minutes of my time on Friday night when I could be trying to get laid or do something on my own time. And he said, "That's it." Sean, I'll tell you in private who it was. That's it. And I was like, "What? That's it? What? Can we talk next week, or can I call you back tomorrow?" I'm like, "Nah, dude, that's not the way this goes. Matter of fact, I gave you 15 more minutes than the hour I told you I'd give you." And I was like, I got things to do. I says, I'm trying to get employment opportunities right now. I'm laid off of work. And so it's like, I got to call a couple of people here from the club. So he's like, it's Friday night. I was like, that's why. And the whole time, I even heard people were beeping in. I was on the phone with him, and I ignored them. I said, "I'll call that guy back. I was more than giving. That's what pisses me off about a certain former partner of mine putting out a narrative like he would never do what I've done for fans. And no one would. Now, my brother would not. The Draper said, "You're insane. I would never do that." He goes, "Not that I don't want to do that. I'm not cool with chill with some people, but you go beyond that, like you just said." And I said, this guy said to me, "That's it." And he said, "Can I call you back tomorrow?" I'm like, I said, "Dude, this was you drew the number this week. I called you. I says, I'm giving you the same I give everybody else. Fair is fair." I said, "I'm sorry you don't think that was enough." I go, "Dude, I talked to you more than I talked to my mother." So he's like, "Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, there was other things I wanted to get into, but I guess if that's it, that's it." And I was like, wow, and again, I had to calm myself down and say, Trez knows who it was. Don't mention who it is, Trez, on here. And I had to calm myself down and say, don't get all streety and go fuck yourself. Calm down, because he's going to go run into you-know-who and get me in trouble, even though no basis to do that at all. And you-know-who should never open his fucking mouth to me about what I do in my fucking private time. Well, he'll get an earful too. And he didn't. He wasn't nothing to do with it. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, I was thinking that in my mind. This guy's going to go back and cry to you-know-who. So I was like, I says, I tell you what. I says, next week, if I don't have to call too many people, I'll put you back in the rotation. I says, but it can't be, I can't go an hour. Next week, maybe a half hour tops. Is cool enough? Yeah, okay, I guess. Fair enough. And I'm like, motherfucker. Now, under my breath, again, like I said, Drew, my time, my phone call, my time, nothing to do with Don, Tony, Kevin Castle, my time. and someone was not only ungrateful, but called me out for not giving him enough, not giving him enough. And what do you say to somebody like that? But guess what? You're going to meet people like that, you're going to meet people like that. And then again, it wasn't, nothing terrible happened. He didn't go back and post anything and cry and didn't say anything to who. But he did hold me to my thing. You're going to call me? You're going to call me? And again, and listen, and some other podcaster that I shared this with, not part of our group, said, well, I guess in a way it's flattering that he's such a fan and everything. I'm like, dude, I know, but it's a guy. You know what I mean? It's a dude. It's not like, it's not like it's someone who looks like Scarlett on the other end of the phone call. He goes, no, but, just, again, you give a little bit too much of yourself. And I had a good conversation with an outside podcaster party who said, that's why it's a slippery slope, kind of getting into that too friendly with people. He goes, so, but again, that was, I have to admit, I did laugh out loud when he goes, that's it? And I said, you sound like my ex-girlfriend after sex. That's it? So it's like, that's it. I said the last time I heard that's it was, I think MJ in 2013. But, oh my God. In a way, I laughed when I hung up the phone. I laughed, I thought it was fucking funny, but again, the entitlement of this guy, and he's known a little bit as an entitlement type of guy in our group. Nice kid, but again, what do you say there? Now, all you guys listening, the people, you, Trez, Sean, Cal, other people, Cress, all people here, all reasonable, intelligent people. You're going to say, Kev, 100% you are in the right here. Guy is out of line. You indulged him and you handled it well. So it'd be funny for anybody else to say, "Oh, Kev was rude." Like, it's just so you'd be like, "Dude, what conversation are you listening to?" So that's why it's good that certain mixed company doesn't get involved in certain things. So that person has the rose-colored glasses are just broken at this point. So any little thing that can criticize Kev Castle is going to happen. But, and everyone here knows it's a bunch of bullshit anyway. But that was a situation where I thought of him, because I can tell you, my brother wouldn't have been so cordial. My brother would have been like, "Hey, motherfucker, I just gave you." You can imagine what Draper would have said, right? Yeah. You can imagine what Joey Numbers would have said, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I handled myself good, and I wanted the guy to still be a fan of the show, and he still is. I don't see him as much anymore, but again, I think I handled myself pretty well. And those are things I never get credit for, ever, ever. But again, I don't know how you would have handled that either. Any of you guys would have handled that. That's it. And that's a word verbatim. That's what he said. I'm not embellishing anything. It's a funny story.
I probably would have been like, yeah, click.
Yeah, no, exactly. And what would have happened? Would have ran back, told who, post on Patreon, Kev is the meanest, guy. And you'd see a couple of clueless idiots say, "Yeah, I believe you." And then you'd have a guy like Sean say, "Well, wait a minute. What evidence do we even have that even happened?" And that doesn't even sound like Kev. I've spoken to him on the phone. He's actually very cordial, very friendly. Could it be that this guy is an idiot and Kev is in the right here? Oh, no. That can't be. No, we're told by a certain other person that Kev's fault. And it's like, hey, dude, when are you going to get off the dick and fucking think for yourself? Now, again, this guy to this day still writes me, but it's always about what I can do for him. Well, can I call him? Like, well, listen, I can't. I'm kind of going through a thing. He actually even caught me not too long ago. Again, I believe he is still here because I'm seeing he's still at the show. But again, he even called me at a bad time a couple of months ago where I was in like a big thing with my mom, and I'm fucking arguing with my mom on the phone and stuff. And that video thing on Facebook that when they're trying to call you on Facebook was going off. You guys ever use that phone thing on Facebook where it's like, I'm like, who the fuck is this? And it's the dude. It's that dude calling me. And I was going to give him like, dude, what the fuck are you calling me for? But I just ignored it. I hit ignore and I didn't answer it. Because then that gets a little creepy too. What the fuck is this guy calling me for? So I gave him Sean's number.
Have fun with that, Shawnee.
Sean, I'll tell you off the air who it is, and once I tell you, like, oh, okay, I totally believe that, and because again, but I had to stop myself. So again, I don't think the only fans I've ever been rude to are people who are rude to me.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari. It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari. It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.